I'm going to go ahead and call the January 7th meeting of the Board of Supervisors of Tuolumne County to order. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much and welcome. The first item on our agenda is traditionally oral communications. We set aside approximately 15 minutes for the public to speak on any item that is not on the printed agenda. No action may be taken by the board. At this time, I'd like to invite anyone that wants to speak to come to the podium. I do ask that you limit your comments to 2 minutes or less. And with that,
thank you and good morning. In my town crier role, the Master Gardeners are going to be doing a polystyrene or styrofoam collection on Saturday and Sunday, January 18th and 19th. I'll have a flyer on the back table. Then Gary Britt and I believe Catchett Carnahan also are going to be doing a Robert Burns charity dinner on January 18th at 6 p.m. at the Opera Hall to raise scholarship money for Celtic history and to try to get some young people to learn the bagpipes. And then these are my friends, Dr. Elizabeth and Dr. Lawrence Marham, and they would like to do a tribute to one of our citizens.
okay, we're restarting the clock.
Thank you. I'm here to talk about Andrew J. Bell, otherwise known as J. Bell, who died peacefully in his sleep in the early hours of Friday morning, December 20th, at the age of 90. He leaves behind his wife of 45 years, Marlis Gustafson Bell, 5 children, 13 grandchildren, and 17 great-grandchildren. To be closer to family in the Bay Area, Jay and Marlis moved to Sonora from Florida in 2004. They looked for a place to create family gatherings, and they found it in Colombia, where they named their home Bel Giordano, Beautiful Gardens, in Italian. Marlis is an active master gardener. Jay's life was devoted to improving the lives of those who were struggling in this world. As a young man, he worked with the Urban League in Rhode Island, creating cultural awareness among young minority students, opening up job opportunities and access to union membership, and lobbying the state legislature for fair housing and better working conditions. In his early 30s, in the 1960s, he began living and working in Africa, first in Zimbabwe, which at that time was known as Southern Rhodesia, through an organization called Operation Crossroads, and then with his young family in Eritrea, Ethiopia, and then Nigeria, where he was responsible for early Peace Corps operations in those countries. His work included supervising and supporting the U.S. volunteers, developing jobs and relationships with the departments and ministries of the countries, and securing the safety of his Peace Corps volunteers and staff during coups and political unrest. And he was quite involved in rescuing the brother of Marianne Schmidt, a very active Tuolumne County resident who was serving in a small village in the area of Nigeria known as Biafra, where there was a civil war. And Marianne's brother tells the story of a car turning up with U.S. diplomatic plates and Jay opening the door and saying, "Come with me, young man, we're taking you to safety." And that's the sort of act that Jay was famous for. Later in the 1970s, he became the director for all Peace Corps operations in sub-Saharan Africa, responsible for more than 2,000 volunteers and 260 staff spread through 22 African countries, a remarkable achievement. Now
Okay.
I'll turn over to my husband, Dr. Lawrence Marham.
Thank you.
Okay, we got about a minute left, okay, on your time.
In the United States, he worked to improve living conditions in cities, and he worked for Housing and Urban Development as the lead civil servant for the Western region, covering 7 states. So he made a very active contribution. Jay was also a true Renaissance man, interested in many genres of music, an avid photographer, a private pilot, an above-average tennis player and bowler, and a late-in-life golfer. But he believed in higher education, and even in his retirement, he was encouraging his children and grandchildren. He also took pride in his military service with the U.S. Army and the U.S. Air Force. And while living in Columbia, he was promoted to major in the Air Force in the American Volunteer Reserve Honor Group, which provides military honors in this county and in the region to departed service members. We were among about 100 people who crowded the Red Church, St. James Episcopal Church, on Saturday for his memorial service and celebration of life, and with many family as well as friends in this community. I should also say that Jay was also honored in his retirement with a Lifetime Achievement Award for the Martin Luther King Day Celebration Committee. Even in retirement, he was making active commitments and community development, helped with voter registration and many other activities. And we wish to honor Jay Bell today. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, in fairness, I'm going to increase the time limit to 3 minutes. So please come on up.
Good morning, Chairman Rotifer and members of the board. Jen Lopez, visit Tuolumne County. And I am here this morning to tell you a little bit about Tuolumne County Restaurant Week, which is coming up January 19th through 25th. This is somewhat of a reintroduction of Tuolumne County Restaurant Week. The Visitors Bureau had done this for a few years. We took a few years hiatus, and now we've been bringing it back for 2020. We're very excited. We have 25 VTC members, local businesses, including restaurants, coffee shops, bakeries, yogurt shops and wineries and cider distillery on board to participate. And these businesses are offering discounts, special menu items, special deals and culinary experiences during that week. And this is for visitors and locals. Tuolumne County Restaurant Week is in conjunction with California Restaurant Month, which was prepared by dedicated by Visit California as a way to not only celebrate the state's great culinary tourism assets, but also to help boost the economy a bit during a traditionally slow period of the year, hence being in January. So, like I said, we're very excited that we have 25 members on board. It is free for them to participate, except for any associated costs they might have with what they're offering. And we do promote them on social media, and we promote the businesses and their offerings on social media, on our website, and we're also doing radio campaigns, print advertising campaigns, and PR efforts to promote the week. Plus, Visit California is featuring Tuolumne County on their website as well, so it's on a grander scale for visitors to the state of California also. So, like I said, we're very excited at the enthusiasm that we've had for Tuolumne County Restaurant Week, and we hope that everybody will plan to go out to dine.
Dining, one of my favorite adventures. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jen, one question. What were the dates again?
19th through 25th.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have flyers I'll leave with Tracy.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I just want to quickly thank the last speaker. I was looking for more excuses to eat out, so thank you. My name is Jeff Musio, owner and operator of Hazy Bulldog Farms, LLC, the local cannabis company. Today I'm here to address some serious issues and doubts that people have regarding the cannabis industry. Many of the projected revenue numbers in this industry have not been hit. Before the passing of Proposition 64, voters were promised 3 times the revenue that the cannabis community has provided thus far. The reason for this is simple. The regulations have been suffocating, and licenses have not been handed out. Before the Proposition 64, under Proposition 215, there are 3 times the number of dispensaries creating revenue and 100 times the amount of farms. To fix the problem falling short on projected revenues, municipalities need to lighten up their suffocating regulations and allow the free market to prevail. Look no further than this county, and our reason why we're not making money for the cannabis community is because it's not allowed. Competition with the illegal market is also a big concern for voters. Once again, look no further than our county. Currently, there is no legal avenue for cannabis operators in this county. This means we are missing out on hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of tax revenue. In the city of Sonora, they have allowed medical dispensaries. Due to this, they have accumulated over $130,000 in taxes from one single shop. At the county level, this means we are missing out on hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars for law enforcement. This county hasn't had any arrests for illegal grows in 2 years. We might as well put up a huge sign that says legal cannabis, stay out. The illegal black market rules this county. The local government has refused to allow local cannabis business grows as the illegal market prevails, with very little interference. I encourage this council to allow legal cannabis businesses in town so we can generate enough money for local law enforcement to start making a dent in the illegal market. Let's work on this together. More concerns from the public pertain to how the cannabis companies are being formed and where their money is coming from. You hear lead news stories about how cannabis companies are becoming corporate. Huge layoffs are happening. These stories are true, but for only a sector of the cannabis industry, not the norm, and definitely not what's being proposed for this county. What this council has in front of them is a unique opportunity. The opportunity is a window that is shrinking by the day. In the cannabis industry, the laws are written in such a fashion that in 2023, the big boys are going to enter the market, cannabis limitations are going to be eliminated, and corporate cannabis will take over. During this period, there is possible billion-dollar companies that will destroy the local municipalities like ours and lobby laws to whatever they see fit. The opportune time to act is now, as a local cannabis company can grow and become a strong ally before 2023. A local operator that has family ties and social obligations to the current culture of Tuolumne County. Somebody that will make a business decision with the well-being of the county as a top priority. Seize this opportunity before 2023 comes and this opportunity is squandered. There's many more problems that the cannabis industry has faced since Proposition 64. However, we've been looking at the solution all wrong. It's not about what the industry has done as a whole. It's what about this county has in front of them, maybe even in front of them at this podium. It may seem impossible that somebody can meet the projected revenues that the cannabis industry has promised. It may seem impossible to fund law enforcement with enough tools and money to eliminate the black market. It may seem impossible to fund a cannabis company with enough integrity to build a solid foundation so layoffs and setbacks are minimized. It may seem impossible for commercial cannabis to exist in Tuolumne County without affecting the current culture. Let me just leave you with this. My name is Jeff Musio, owner and operator of Hazy Bulldog Farms, and I encourage this council to allow me to do the impossible.
Thank you.
How's it going, you guys? Back again to encourage you guys to lift the moratorium on hemp farming. The projections for the revenue from hemp this year were about $4.5 billion for the U.S. and by 2025, it's projected to hit $25 billion. There's no reason why this county shouldn't get a piece of that pie. With the farming comes all of the other jobs, all the processing, all the jobs in government, licensing, more jobs I can't think of right now, probably tens of thousands of jobs it could create even just in this county alone. There's really no reason why we should keep the moratorium going. We should just figure out, what rules need to be set in place or what we need to align with the state to make it a reality so we can start benefiting from this. Can create fuel, food, clothing, can replace wood. It's instead of taking 30 years to grow, it only takes 1 year to grow. They can make concrete out of it. There's like an insane amount of uses for hemp. It's not just the flower. The CBD is just one aspect of it. So let's lift the moratorium and let's get farming. Let's do this.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, Our next agenda item is staff reports. That's a period of time where we stripped it out from public comments, so the public would have the full public comment period, and staff can comment on any item that is not on the printed agenda. Let me guess, it's election time?
I was just going to ask. Hi, I'm Debbie Batista. I almost said Russell. I'm Debbie Batista. I'm the County Register of Voters, and it is election time. What's a little unusual about this election is that it is a presidential primary. And so we have some confusion with some of the voters. There was an article done in the Union Democrat. Thanks, Alex. We've had people calling us and questioning about the postcards that no party preference voters have received. Some of them are reading it a little wrong and think that they are unregistered to vote. They are not. They just have chosen that they are no party preference. So therefore, in essence, they have no party with candidates. So there's nobody to vote for president. So they have many options to change that. One, they can do a crossover vote all the way up until election day if they want to vote on the Democrat ticket parties or the American Independent or the Libertarian. Those three parties have allowed no party preference voters to cross over to their ballot. The voter does not need to re-register to vote. They just need to, when they go into the vote center or they come here, or if they filled out their card, they will receive a ballot with that party's presidential candidates, but everything else that would pertain to anybody who lived in their district. If those aren't the parties they want to vote for, then they will need to re-register. So if they want to be a Green Party, a Peace and Freedom Party, a Republican Party, and they want to vote for their presidential candidates, they will need to re-register in that party because those parties don't accept crossover votes. If they don't want to vote for any presidential candidate for the primary and they just want to wait for November, then they can get a no preference ballot, which will not have the president candidates on it, and vote that way. So they have a lot of options. They can call our office, 533-5570, and re-register if that's what they want. They can go online, sos.ca.gov, re-register if that's what they want to do. If they have any questions, please don't wait. Call us now. We can fix or do your registration if that's what the voter wants, or fill out their cards and send it to us even though we're after that date.
So just to clarify something you said, because my foggy old mind
Mine too.
gagged a little bit on one of them. Everybody, regardless, even if you're no party preference, will be able to vote in the presidential election and the general election.
In the November election, that is correct.
Okay, it's just the primary
Right.
where certain parties don't allow the crossover votes.
Because remember, the primary is not voting for a person. It's voting for a candidate for that party to nominate to be on
I
the
understand.
ballot in November.
Okay.
So yes, so if you are if you're not a no party preference, this doesn't pertain to you, you will get the ballot of your party. If you are a no party preference and you want to vote for a presidential candidate's party's choice, then there's a couple options that you have. Thank you. I'll be back every single board day, by the way, talking about elections all the way up till March 3rd.
I know you will.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good morning, Quincy Yaley, Community Development Department Director. I wanted to make sure your board and the public were aware of another upcoming closure for our 4th floor Development Information Center. Next Thursday and Friday, January 16th and 17th, there'll be no staff available in the building, environmental health, land use, or housing divisions. Field inspections will occur as normal. The 3rd floor, where we have surveying, public works, engineering, and solid waste, will also remain open. This closure is needed in order to process an influx of building permits that were submitted prior to the code change that occurred at the end of this last year. For example, in November of 2019, we received 8 single-family dwelling building permits. In December, we received 62. So we have quite a significant increase in workload, and time is needed for our staff to process those permits. We are required under code to review those permits in a certain time frame, and so otherwise, if we don't, we're required to send them out for third-party plan check, and we prefer to manage that third-party plan check money in a very strategic way rather than just being compelled because of delays. Thank you.
Just for the public's information, I went over to talk to Quincy about an item, and she insisted that I could not leave the building until she gave me a tour of the stacks and stacks and stacks of plans that were submitted at the 11th hour of 2019 to avoid the code changes. So this is real. It is a necessity. So thank you, and thank your folks for all the hard work they do.
Thank you.
But it's good news.
It is good. It is good news. We're building.
Yeah, it was anticipated that we would receive an increased number of permits at the end of 2019, both in terms of staffing levels and budget-wise. So we're doing our best to manage that process in an efficient way with minimal impact to the public.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I am Christina Cunha, and I am here just with a couple of announcements. Excuse me. Your county team members will be out in the community January 14th at the Groveland Community Hall and January 23rd up in Twain Harte Bible Church, providing the community with educational forums. And this is a time when the county team members from all the departments can talk about the services that we provide as a county to Tuolumne County residents. So again, we'll be in Groveland Community Hall, January 14th at noon for a couple of hours. And we will also be at Twain Harte Bible Church, January 23rd at 4 p.m.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, seeing no more staff reports, just one agenda item change, the 9 o'clock appointment for the Jamestown Elementary Science Academy has been pulled and moved to January 21st meeting. Is that correct? Okay. The January 21st meeting, there was some scheduling glitch here at the county, I guess. Anyway, so we will not have that 9 o'clock appointment. And item number 7, Supervisor Gray is asking to pull that off of consent and be considered separately. So would the clerk of the board please read the consent calendar items 1 through 6?
Minutes of the meeting held December 16th and December 20th, 2019, finding that a summary of ordinance number 3369 through 3372 were published. Approving the access of utility easement agreement with Tuolumne County owned property with New Singular Wireless PCS LLC. Approving the subordination of lease, non-disturbance and atonement agreement and lease estoppel certificate with CPS Sonora, Sonora Hills Business Plaza and Farms and Merchants Bank of Central California for the lease of the property located at 19890 Cedar Road, Sonora for the Tuolumne County Sheriff's Office and Investigations Division. Adopting a resolution, rescinding resolution number 2607 and appointing Rebecca Espino as the public administrator, public guardian of Tuolumne County. Adopting a resolution accepting the claims for excess proceeds from tax defaulted property sales and authorizing the distribution of excess proceeds from the sales. And then number 7 was pulled.
Okay, is there any public comment on any of those 6 items remaining on the consent calendar? Okay, I'll bring it back to the board.
I'll move on consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion by Supervisor Brennan and a second by Supervisor Campbell. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? It is 5-0. And would the clerk of the board please read item number 7?
This is consideration of accepting the resignation of Mark Thornton from the Oak Grove Cemetery District Board of Trustees and directing the clerk to send a letter of appreciation and post a notice of vacancy.
Supervisor Gray.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as many of you know, Mark Thornton was a 3-term supervisor for Tuolumne County, and he also continued his public service as a member of the Oak Grove Cemetery Board. And I just want to personally thank Mark for his dedication to not only the cemetery board, but to the county in general. So thank you, Mark.
Okay.
That I move to approve item 7.
Okay. I've got a motion.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion by Supervisor Gray, a second by Supervisor Campbell. Before we vote on that, is there any public comment? Okay, I have one comment, and that is the importance of people like Mark Thornton to this community and our ability to do business, not just the Board of Supervisors business, but there's a lot of independent boards out there, fire boards, cemetery boards, water district boards, and all that stuff. We could not do our business in Tuolumne County without people like Mark Thornton. I say that both to congratulate Mark Thornton on all that he has provided, but also to encourage members of the public to step up. We're going to need a replacement for Mark Thornton.
Yes,
and and it's going to be some pretty good sized shoes to fill, but that we need people like that in our community to step up. So I encourage people to do that. And with that, I'm going to call on the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? 5-0. Would the clerk of the board please read item number 8?
Consideration of approving the Board of Supervisors Planning Committee 2020 work program.
Okay. Ms. Yaley, staff report.
Good morning, Quincy Yaley, Community Development Department Director. I'm here today to present to you and request your approval of the Board of Supervisors Planning Committee 2020 Work Plan. Before we started, I just thought I would open with the vision, mission, and values of Tuolumne County, which at CDD we take into consideration on all projects and task efforts that we work on. Just as a reminder, it has been some time since the Board of Supervisors Planning Committee was convened. They meet the third Thursday of the month. It consists of 2 board members, 2 Planning Commission members with an alternate, and 3 at-large members. The purpose of the Planning Committee is to review, comment, and recommend new or modifications to existing policy related to land use and development regulations. In addition, moving forward in 2020, we'll be adding a standing agenda item where we can regularly provide this committee updates with work efforts that are going on either existing development projects that we are working on and or updates on projects that have been approved that are moving towards implementation. So we do also hope to use this committee as a communication tool to the public as to what our staff is working on. The purpose of the work plan is to set tasks and priority for the Community Development Department and as well as other associated county departments for the year. We often work closely with Public Works and County Council, Fire, and so the priorities that are listed in the work plan reach outside of the bounds of the Community Development Department. The work plan also allows us to bring that back before your board, if necessary, during the year to update it to make sure that it's reflecting the current priorities that the committee is working on. In 2020, we anticipate 4 major efforts that the Planning Committee would undertake. The first one is revision to development standards. Next is the Title 17 zoning code update. The third is the implementation of SB 743 with respect to the vehicle miles traveled regulations, and the last is the climate action plan. Some of the funding for these projects will be coming from state grants. Other funding will be used from our professional services line item that's in our approved budget. But once we receive the proposals from consultants who are going to be assisting us with this, we may need to revisit the funding allocations for these projects. Just to go into each one a little bit further, the Tuolumne County General Plan asks us to review and modify regulations to promote economic development and eliminate, where possible, there is discouragement to that development. And so that is an item that we will be routinely bringing back to the Planning Committee to retool some of our processes, streamline processes, and make it easier for the public to navigate through the Community Development Department and the overall environmental review process. The comprehensive update to the zoning ordinance includes mandates that came out of our housing element that was recently approved in 2019. That includes some rezones that need to happen, new rules regarding accessory dwelling units, basically making those a lot easier for the public to build and construct. We're going to be looking at ways to, again, streamline permit processes and solve repetitive code compliance violations that we have, where instead of continuing to enforce the code, we probably just need to change the code. And also, it's our goal to make the zoning code much more user-friendly. We're working with TCTC to address state legislation regarding vehicle miles traveled and create a new CEQA threshold for the county. That will be coming before the Planning Committee very quickly in February, and then to your board soon thereafter. And so it's moving from that level of service threshold that you are familiar with to a VMT. And the last endeavor is the Climate Action Plan, which is a requirement of the 2019 General Plan. We're hoping to go through that process and bring it before your board by the end of 2020. Some of the challenges to the success of the Board of Supervisors Planning Committee is workload staffing constraints. That entails both the Community Development Department as well as our partner departments, like I mentioned, County Council, Public Works. We're also working on balancing the staff time between ministerial and discretionary reviews that our office oversees. Another challenge to success is unforeseen priorities. There's things that come up during the year that do pull our attention away from whatever priorities that we do set. But like I said, the work plan is what we will be following, and if we need to bring that back before your board, we will. The last challenge we have is just grant and the funding, the timing of the funding that may constrain our ability to meet our goals of the 2020 work plan. And I put this picture up there. This is all the phones that have come out of our office, and this sort of I felt really described what CDD is working on. Is we have just a huge pile of responsibilities, a huge pile of phones, and they are all very different. And that can be a challenge to our success, is balancing all the different needs and asks of CDD. But with a work plan, it provides a organized path for our staff to follow in achieving your goals. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Any board questions?
I am chairman of that committee. I believe I will still be. I'm not positive. We'll have to see by the end of the day.
I'm trying to find out actually right now.
But that's a lot to do. And I just hope the rest of the board understands that that is a grandiose task that we're looking at to try to get done within this year. And I'm certainly willing to for the challenge, but it'll be something to do. I'm asking Alicia right now to check.
There's none. I don't think there's any vacancies.
To make sure we don't have any vacancies on that so that we can hit the ground running.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I think, looked at the general plan and thought, okay, we've got the general plan done, so we're done. We got as much work left to do on the ordinance codes as we had on the general plan. And so and actually the general plan is just that. It's a general plan, okay? It's really the ordinance codes that reach out and touch you folks on your property day in and day out. And those are the things that really impact what you can and what you may not be able to do. And I go back to one of the comments on the slide, and I'll try to get it exactly, but probably won't. But basically, she said, minimize the discouragement to development as much as possible. Please, everybody remember, we live in the state of California, okay, and we live in the United States, and each one of those governmental agencies lay restrictions on us that we cannot violate or change locally. So our board guidance to the staff has been, and I think will continue to be, at least for the near future, if it isn't required by the feds or it isn't required by the states and we're going to require it, we need to have a really good reason why we're doing that. So that's going to be kind of the overarching guidance as we go forward with this effort, and the staff embraces that. So again, thank you. Supervisor Brennan.
Yeah, I really appreciate the magnitude of this workload and want the public to understand, again, this gets at the importance of how we do this work. And I'll point to SB 743 because that's a piece that we've been talking about in some of the committee work up at the state level. And some of these, they are well intended at the state, are really written for our suburban and urban counterparts and are very problematic and very difficult when we get to our rural counties. And so it will take some time. We have to be very thoughtful. We know we have to find the mechanism to comply. But this is also an illustration of the work that we do through our advocacy in Sacramento, trying to really point out how when we have a one-size-fits-all approach, it doesn't work. And we heard this morning about how we have a retirement community that moves up here. We have so many things that we treasure about Tuolumne County, but we have to find a way to make this work and at the same time be elevating and illustrating to some of the state legislature where this is problematic and how it is difficult to actually achieve these thresholds that are set.
Okay. Anybody else? Public comment?
Well, I would like to thank Supervisor Brennan for talking about Senate Bill 743. Looking at vehicles miles traveled is a huge traffic change approach, and I would implore you, as this planning committee, we need to be really cognizant and ensure safety on our roadways, especially for our vulnerable road users like pedestrians and bicyclists. And in Tuolumne County, between 2014 and 2018, we had 83 pedestrian incidents with 3 fatalities. We had 22 bicyclists with no fatalities. Calaveras, in contrast, only had 25 pedestrian incidents with 1 fatality and 9 bicyclists with 0 fatalities. And we really need to ensure when we're going to discuss traffic that people realize we have public transportation here that could be used and that we really need to ensure the safety of our pedestrians and our bicyclists as well as other drivers. So when you're discussing this, I would implore you to keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other member of the public?
I just want to say, as far as development goes, if we wait too long to lift the moratorium on hemp farming this year, we're going to lose out on the entire year to start growing that industry in this county, because after, if you don't start planning for it in February or March, then it's too late. So if we don't get on this, ASAP, we're going to lose out on this entire year for that development. So it's something to think about.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other public comment? Seeing none. I think we're looking for approval of the work plan. So, can I
Mr.
get
Chairman, I move that we approve the Board of Supervisors Planning Commission work plan as presented.
Planning Committee work plan? Yeah. Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. I got a motion by Supervisor Gray, second by Supervisor Brennan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? 5-0. Would the clerk of the board please read item number 9?
Consideration of adopting a resolution authorizing the submittal of the 2019 Home Investment Partnership Grant application for the tenant-based rental assistance and first-time home buyer programs.
Ms. Shanahan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Sheila Shanahan, Community and Housing Programs Manager. The county operates a first-time home buyer, owner-occupied rehabilitation, and tenant-based rehabilitation programs utilizing state and federal and other grant funds. The first-time homebuyer program provides deferred payment loans of up to $120,000 to help lower-income first-time buyers purchase a home. The program is very successful and has helped many families in our county. The owner-occupied rehabilitation program is also a deferred loan program. It helps to correct serious health and safety issues with the home, and it's especially popular with seniors. The tenant-based rental assistance program provides up to 2 years of rental assistance, and preference in our program is given to households working with a caseworker who are in the process of getting their lives back on track after experiencing a life-changing event, such as becoming disabled. The county applies for multi-year grant funds, such as the home grant before you today. The funds are then loaned to lower-income households or granted in the case of the rental assistance program. The loans are repaid to the county and placed in a revolving housing loan fund. The county has a housing loan portfolio of approximately 126 loans worth roughly $8.7 million. When the loans are repaid, the funds are used to assist new borrowers. This revolving loan fund has helped the county to operate more self-sufficiently with these programs because we aren't entirely dependent on grant funds. The county does have an opportunity today to apply for $1 million from the home funds. It is a competitive grant, but the county's been very successful in the past. The funds would be used for the first-time homebuyer and tenant-based rental assistance program, and the funds would augment the county's revolving loan fund. It's recommended that your board adopt a resolution authorizing the submittal of the 2019 Home Investment Partnership Grant application in an amount not to exceed $1 million for the tenant-based rental assistance and first-time homebuyer programs, and authorize the Community Development Director to sign all necessary documents related to the grant application. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, anything from the board before I go to the public? Public comment. Bring it back to the board. Supervisor Brennan.
Say that this is one of those no-brainers. I want to thank Sheila. I did read in the packet that it was based on what had been allocated previously, and Tuolumne County is eligible for the maximum amount that is allowed because of the work that you've done getting those funds allocated. We know that we have a need here in the county, so I want to thank you for that hard work and the team for the hard work. Move on staff recommendation.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion by Supervisor Brennan.
Second.
I think I had a second by Supervisor Kirk.
Sorry.
Is that correct? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? 5-0. And Sheila, again, I would echo Supervisor Brennan's comments. The reason we're even eligible for this is because of good work in the past. So keep up the good work. Go get us money.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, would the clerk of the board please read item number 10?
Consideration of approving correspondence commenting on the Phoenix Federal Energy Regulations Commission relicensing project number 1069, Recreation 1 study.
Hello, I'm Natalie Rizzi with the Community Development Department. The Phoenix Federal Energy Regulatory, or FERC, relicensing project is nearing its final stages. Pacific Gas and Electric, PG&E, owns the dam at Lyons Reservoir and has submitted an application to FERC for a 40-year license renewal, which is needed to use water in order to generate electricity. A technical memo was drafted in conjunction with the Phoenix relicensing project, which analyzed the current recreational use, facility conditions, accessibility and safety, and future recreational demands for the Lyons Reservoir day use area, as well as the MTC Section 4 ditch and the railroad grade trail. Currently, all recreation and fishing at the Lions Reservoir Day Use Area are restricted to bank access and the surrounding trails. This is due to Resolution 4990, approved by the Board of Supervisors in 1990. Preliminary discussions with the Stanislaus National Forest, Tuolumne Utilities District, and the Tuolumne County Natural Resource Committee support rescinding this resolution and permitting non-motorized boating activities on the reservoir. However, additional work and research will need to be conducted in order, including who actually has authority over the recreational uses at the facility. In support of increased recreational opportunities at Lions Reservoir Day Use Area, there are two main areas of concern which will need to be addressed: parking and the access road. During weekends in the spring and summer, the number of vehicles often exceeds capacity and causes people to park along the road and in undesignated areas. The access road to get to the day use area is not adequately maintained. If recreation opportunities are expanded in the future, the parking and access road will be further strained due to anticipated increased demand of the facility. Additional parking at the day use area and improvements and continued maintenance of the access road should be included as conditions for the Phoenix FERC relicensing project. The final comments on the technical memos are due to PG&E on January 13th, 2020. It is recommended that your board approve and sign correspondence regarding the recreational report for the Phoenix FERC relicensing project. Questions?
Thank you. Board questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
So we're voting on this correspondence, but is there any requirement that these changes are actually made before the relicensing happens, or what's the obligation here, and who's responsible for what?
Yeah, so the FERC license goes to PG&E, and so it would be technically PG&E because they own Lions. They would be ultimately responsible for any conditions that FERC would impose on PG&E. At this point, though, you're correct. The board would just be approving correspondence describing the issues with the access road and additional parking needs, with kind of the background that potentially recreation could be increasing there, so the need for increased facilities, might also be there. And this is just a preliminary discussion to make your board aware of this resolution, also that there is support to rescind that resolution, and then ultimately enhance recreation at Lions.
I was just kind of getting at that we don't, the board doesn't have the power to impose these
that is correct.
plans.
Yeah.
It would be
It's FERC. Yeah,
we're sending
Federal
a
Energy.
recommendation to FERC to do it on our behalf.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
We're basically commenting on their, where we want them to go.
Exactly right. Yeah,
Okay.
and there is, your board has done this with the Don Pedro FERC relicensing process as well, and a few other FERC relicense processes.
Yeah, I'm asked fairly often why you can't swim in Lions, and so I was trying to
Drink the water after
Yeah,
that, do you?
exactly. Well, you can swim in Pinecrest and drink that water.
Okay. And it gets cleaned up quite a bit, but that's good. Okay.
But I would add, it was part of the conversation at the natural resource meeting.
Yeah.
This is just, it is important in my view to be part of the process. If we're not sitting at the table, if we don't ask, then we're not going to be be there for consideration or request. So at the appropriate time, I'd move approval on this item.
Okay. I'll open it up for public comment on this. And I believe this is the second FERC process that I've been involved with. So the other one being down at Don Pedro. So bring it back to the board. I've got a motion from Supervisor Brennan.
And since it's in my district, I'll be a second. And this is exciting just because I think with the summer recreation at Pinecrest, hopefully if we go down this road, it'll help alleviate some of that. And Ryan, Supervisor Campbell, you can swim in that. You just don't get caught. I grew up biking over there. And I think this will be good for summer travel.
Oh,
and it's not in here, and again, this is just the beginning stages, but when I was young, I was swimming close to where the spillway was, so they might want to put a fence up. Because if you go to that spillway, It's about a 100-foot drop.
You're telling everybody the secret spot.
Yeah,
so,
but there's a big rock below, so you don't want to go over the spillway.
So I noticed that you did a scan of the courtroom and made sure that there was no sheriff or deputies in the courtroom when you admitted your crime.
I was a minor at the time.
Okay.
What are the statute of limitations on
Yeah,
swimming?
There you go. Okay, so I've got a motion by Supervisor Brennan, a second by Supervisor Kirk. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? 5-0. Okay, you ladies go swimming in Lions, okay? Okay. Would the clerk of the board please read item number 11?
This is consideration of adopting a resolution approving a post-retirement employment of Gretchen Olson prior to 180 days from her retirement of December 19th, 2019.
Good morning.
Ms. McFarland.
Kim McFarland, Director of Public Works. So upon Belinda Barlow's retirement in the fall of 2017 as solid waste manager, the county was unable to find a qualified replacement despite recruitment efforts. Last spring, the position was flown again, and we were lucky enough to secure Gretchen Olson in the process. So Gretchen retired December 19th, unfortunately. She held this position twice, in October 2007 through November of 2011, and then again for the last 7 months. It's critical that this position is filled to ensure business continuity within the Solid Waste Division of Public Works. And just as a side note, we've actually been short-staffed in that group because one of our fellows, our solid waste tech, Josh Specht, is actually serving in Kuwait on military leave. So, Ms. Olson is willing to return to work January 8th, 2020, and assists the county in finding her replacement. However, this is less than the 180 days from her scheduled retirement, so a board resolution is required. Under CalPERS rules, she cannot work more than 960 hours in a fiscal year, or be paid more than the maximum of the position, collect unemployment, and cannot receive any special incentives or benefits to work. Ms. Olson has met or will meet all these requirements. Therefore, staff recommends approving the resolution appointing Gretchen Olson as extra help retired annuitant to perform the duties as a relief solid waste manager for the county effective January 8th, 2020.
Okay. Any public comment? Bring it back to the board.
Move on staff recommendation.
Okay.
Second.
I've got a motion by Supervisor Gray, second by Supervisor Campbell. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 5-0. Would the clerk of the board please read item number 12? Thank you, Kim.
Consideration of adopting a new class specification, pay range, and assignment to bargaining unit for the homelessness coordinator.
It's the CAO.
Good morning, Tracy Riggs, County Administrator's Office. This item before you is something that we've all been working on for some time. It is one of your board's priorities of vulnerable populations. Since the board retreat, when your board identified that, there are many different areas that we address in vulnerable populations, and our homeless population is one of those. In July of 2019, your board did approve a county plan to combat homelessness. And in that plan, they identified some of the areas that the top priorities. Those were affordable housing, adequate shelters, flexible funding, more agencies or services dedicated to those experiencing homelessness, employment opportunities, transportation, and coordination of information and resources. The governor has also made this one of his primary priorities as well, and in his budget he had dedicated over, it was like $1 billion that he has put in various areas to address this issue. Your board has made it very clear that this is one of your top priorities as well, and I know Supervisor Brennan has been working with different members of the community towards coordination. But it's become very clear that what we need is someone who can take this on full time and coordinate resources, bring a community task force to combat homelessness. We have had a lot of questions. What is the county doing? What is the city doing? What is the state doing? And it's very clear this is a community and a society issue, and what we need to do is address this as a community. So the plan that your board approved actually states that we will create this community task force that would be members of local and maybe state government, but also private sector, faith-based community, and different members of the others who could, nonprofits who could also participate and have something to offer, because this will take all of us to make this happen. In working with staff, we've been looking for funding that we could bring about a full-time position to begin coordinating this task force and all the other resources, as well as looking at grants. We have staff who've been participating in various conferences and meetings to secure funding. But what we really need, again, is someone who can really dedicate themselves full-time and bring this all together for us and begin moving it forward. With that being said, our behavioral health director, Michael Wilson, had come to me with a grant that they had secured. It was one-time grant money. And they have some that they have that is unexpended and it needs to be spent by this year. And the work that this individual could be doing, should your board approve it, would qualify under that grant. And I know the question is, well, you're saying one-time funding. There are other grant funds that are available, some that have already been allocated to our county. We just haven't brought them to your board yet. What I'd ask is that your board would consider this position in the event that we could begin the recruitment, and we would come back with the different budget actions that we would need so that we could put a cost center together specifically for homelessness. So what you have before you today is a class specification for homeless advocate and outreach coordinator. What we're asking and what I am recommending is that this classification would be benchmarked at the senior administrative analyst. And the reason for that is this individual needs to be autonomous. They need to no one's going to be holding their hand as they go out into the community and begin working. They need to be independent. We also need someone who's passionate and goal-driven and compassionate for those that they serve. They need to be able to be of high moral character so they can gain the trust of those experiencing homelessness, as well as various members of the community and state agencies so that they can begin pulling down revenue, different types of funds for revenues to address all those priorities that were in the plan that your board adopted in June. With that being said, staff is recommending the position be assigned to the Tuolumne County Executive Confidential Unit and placed at range 470. The E step for that, which is the highest step that the position would be paid, is $42.59 per hour or $88,598 per year. They would also be eligible for all other benefits as outlined in the Executive Confidential Unit. Like I said, right, we're asking for you to do today was to approve this class specification and the position allocation. We would add it to that. I will come back on the 21st with budget actions. I will work with the auditor controller to develop a separate cost center so we can track any costs associated with this type of work in a separate cost center, and we'll have a budget created, but we would do that on the 21st. Your approval today would allow us to begin get the recruitment going so that we can get this position filled as quickly as possible.
Okay. I'd say long overdue, but I know you've been working hard on it, and thank you very much for that, but we do need to move out on this. So can I have any board, before I go to public?
Just comment.
Anything from the board? Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Just so the public's clear, so this is grant funded, starting off. Do you know about how long that period will be?
I know we right now would have enough for at least 2 to 3 years with the funding that's coming in that we know about right now.
So 2-3 years, yeah. Grant funded, not general fund. And then something I was thinking about after reading this, we say it's a society issue. It's the community's going to have to come together. But at the end of the day, the position needs to be created, needs to be funded. Is there any way, because I know a large portion of the homeless population resides in the city of Sonora, is there some conversation going on with the city to maybe share in the responsibility of this? Perhaps maybe not so because it's grant funded, but definitely down the road, if it was going to be something to continue, I would like to see a partnership with possibly the city of Sonora. Has that discussion had?
I have not contacted city just because they don't yet have a city administrator. So once they have one, there are a few city council members who've reached out to me who have set meetings for me to talk about with various issues, this being one of those. Once they have that, and if should your board direct it, we could begin having those conversations.
Yeah, but I would add that I too have been in conversations with a few of the city council members, And we recognize that the city is an important partner in this process, and whatever task force that we come up with, I think that there will be, at that level, some city participation. And then as CAO Riggs said, we'll see what we can expand beyond that when, they have an opportunity to look at some of the grants that may be available, because there are pieces that are certainly specific to cities, aside from the county piece.
Supervisor Gray.
Yes, I was just going to say it's important. The partnership is what's important. It's going to take us all to help resolve this problem. And, 100% solution is probably not there, but I'm sure we can do better than what we're doing right now.
Absolutely.
Supervisor Campbell.
Yeah, I agree with what's been said so far. I just wanted to take a moment and thank Tracy and then also Michael Wilson for your efforts. This was one of those things that the board will often do. We'll drop something in your lap and say, just do it. And you found a really creative way to pay for a very important position without adding to our general fund obligation. And that's exactly, that's music to my ears. There's a lot of energy to address this issue in the community, but and I'm not the first person to observe this. There's a lot of energy, a lot of goodwill, but not a lot of focus. And so I see this as that opportunity to really focus these ideas and the efforts that are already going on in the community in a really constructive way and make best use of the resources we have. So I did have kind of a nuts and bolts kind of question. So you said this is going to be a senior administrative analyst?
No, I said I'm recommending we benchmark it at the senior administrative analyst pay range and benefits and assignment to the executive confidential unit.
So the title would actually be homelessness coordinator.
The homeless outreach advocate. Advocate is very important. I really wanted that in there. So it's the homeless advocate and outreach coordinator.
And we would just benchmark the pay range to
right, the pay, the benefits, right.
Okay.
And also this position, I am recommending it would be part of our office, but this position would report directly to your county administrator and be appointed by your county administrator. So not a department head level person, but a high enough level that they are expected to be very independent and autonomous to go out and act on their own to begin getting this work done.
And I didn't see in the job description, would part of their role be to seek additional grant funding?
Yes, that actually is in there. It does say that they will do grant. Yes, they will seek out and write grants.
Okay, because it's one of the few areas where there seems to be money available for this type of thing. So the state's actually paying attention at the moment, so we need to seize the opportunity.
And as you know, Supervisor Campbell, all of the analysts in our office are expected to go out and look for grants, as you are personally aware.
Thank you very much.
One of the things that I want to highlight is that, and I think I can speak for the board, you all can throw rocks at me if I'm not. The goal here is to be an enabler, right? I know a lot of people, when we use the word task force, it sounds like the government's going to get in there and tell people how to do it. There's a lot of really good efforts that are going on out there, and we just want to make it easier for them to pursue them in a coordinated fashion with all the other efforts that are going out there, and maybe we can add something to that effort out there, especially if we can start getting some government grants going and things like that. So this is not us trying to get in the way of some very, very good efforts that are already ongoing. It's us trying to help, and I want us to always keep that in mind as we go forward. Supervisor Brennan.
Yeah, I want to thank you for highlighting that, because I have been working with CAO Riggs on this quite a bit, and there were 3 key words in here that are so important, and it really is about how do we help facilitate this effort, because it is so multifaceted, and we have some fantastic efforts going on in the county, but a lot of the funding streams are really so diverse and in different places, and we don't have a coordinated effort. There's some through CRA, there's some through Health and Human Services, there's some transportation pieces, and so it really is about that individual that can find the mechanism to coordinate, and more importantly, with the advocacy piece is the grant writing piece and help find resources so that we make our community successful. So.
Okay, I know there's some public that's been waiting to talk, so public comment.
I'm Shelley Muniz, and I'm representing Resiliency Village. A lot of you, I'm sure, know about us already, and for those of you who don't, we are and will be a trauma healing center and tiny house village. We've been working on this for quite a while, and just wanted to say that we so appreciate your support. Some of you were at our first open house a couple of weeks ago, and this is just such a vital issue, and something that we always say is it's not just us, it's going to take a community, and you guys have said that, and we really appreciate this and the possibility of this person that you're considering, this homeless person that you're considering hiring right now, because just trying to coordinate all of the efforts that are going on up here is a big task, and getting everybody together and making us a success. We really feel like with what we're doing and the model that we have, plus what we're hearing here and everything else that's happening, Tuolumne County can be a model, not only for our state, but for the county and for the country, and how we handle the homeless situation and how we can make it better. Thank you.
Thank you for appreciating us, because we appreciate what you're doing as well, and all the other people that are doing good work out there. Again, our job is to help make it easier for you. Ms. Half.
Good morning, Board. Kathleen Half, candidate for District 4 Supervisor. And this is a wonderful addition. I'm in full support of getting somebody that is an advocate and that can coordinate all of the efforts. I would very much like to encourage Ms. Riggs to work with the city as soon as possible. My platform includes homelessness and the coordinated efforts of all the funding streams. We not only have funding streams available to the county and all of the various departments, but we also have municipal funding streams, and we have nonprofits, and we don't want to forget the faith-based organizations either. This has been mentioned as a whole community project. I'd like to really see it be that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Marianne Wright, and I'm a business owner in downtown Sonora. And I also have 3 rentals on my ranch. And I'm very thankful for this opportunity that Tuolumne County is working on to help the homeless situation. But I would like to add that there's one other population of people that want to help the homeless, and that is business owners who hire people to work, and landlords who rent to people and want them to successfully have a home. And my suggestion would be, some people have never rented a home and don't know how to take care of a home. And as a busy person, you're mentoring them on how to take care of a home so that they can keep it nice so that it doesn't decay. And my mother taught us how to, hang up our towel, and if the water's dripping under the sink, you don't just let it keep dripping. You tell someone and you take care of it. And I would suggest that there might be a course that someone could take called a landlord, a renter certificate, and it could just be a couple hours of a few things that would let the landlord know that these discussions were done, and the landlord would feel more secure knowing that they were taught how to care for a home. And another thing is, in our world of excessive consumerism, there's been a problem of hoarding, and a lot of times people that are low income are donated a lot of items, and they like to graciously accept the items, but when they bring them to their home, that there's not a lot of storage. I've experienced a lady that's at my house that has two beautiful children. One were on the way, and people donate all these big plastic toys. They don't play with them, but she feels bad disposing of them. And really, they should be out picking blackberries and climbing trees and playing outside. And so that might be an issue that people with donating might kind of think twice about the landlord who has to accommodate the things and look them out the window when they're really not doing the person any good, and they may actually be hindering that person. But together as a community of landlords and business owners who hire people, and all our faith-based government and people with wanting to help and write grants, that we together can work to make our community more beautiful and places for everyone to live. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Colette Such. I'm actually here as a private citizen today, not necessarily speaking for the city, although I think I could tell you that the city will be very happy about this. But I just want to thank you all. Thank you, Tracy, because this is just this moves things forward in such a intelligent and effective way, and look forward to seeing this take place. So thank you very much.
Okay. Any other public comment? Okay, bring it back to the board. Looking for a motion. Supervisor Brennan.
I'll move on staff recommendation.
Second.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Brennan, second by Supervisor Gray. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. I'm sorry. Against? Abstain? Now it's 5-0. Okay. Never assume. Thank you, Ms. Riggs. At this time, I think we're going to take a 10-minute break. At 10:20, we will come back and do our 10 o'clock appointment. Timely break. When was...
For jail staffing and $115,000 to probation for supportive services.
Okay. Our AB 109 team. Staff report.
Good morning, Chairman Rutherford, members of the board. Linda Downey, Community Corrections Partnership Chair and Chief Probation Officer. I have 2 items before you today. I would like to first address the amended fiscal year 2019-2020 CCP budget item. Your board accepted the fiscal year 2019-2020 CCP budget on June 18th, 2019. Around that same time, the county learned that our growth funding would be higher than anticipated. With this increased funding, the CCP Executive Committee approved the following 2 additional one-time budget requests for fiscal year 2019 and 2020 at their meeting held on September 20th, 2019. The Sheriff's Office, $109,000 to fund startup costs for 5 allotted jail deputy positions at the new jail. This amount is the initial hiring process, partial year salaries only, and will not be an ongoing cost of public safety realignment funding. For the probation department, $150,000 for professional services to provide realigned offenders supportive services such as medical or mental health treatment, housing assistance, transportation, and assistance to remove any other barriers to successful rehabilitation and re-entry into our community. This funding is anticipated to cover multiple fiscal years. The CCP is requesting to increase the AB 109 budget accepted by your board on June 18, 2019 by $259,000 to a new fiscal year 2019-20 total of $2,706,025 as outlined in your board packet. AB 109 estimated revenues were included in the county 2019-2020 fiscal year adopted budget prior to the CCP meeting to review and approve these funding requests. No budget action is needed by your board at this time. Staff will reconcile funding amounts at mid-year. It is respectfully recommended that your board accept the amended fiscal year 2019-2020 Community Corrections Partnership budget.
Okay.
Okay. Answer any questions?
Any public comment? Any board questions, comments, or do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move on staff recommendation.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion by Supervisor Gray, a second by Supervisor Brennan. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain. 5-0. Proceed.
Okay, the second item before you is the CCP informational-only presentation regarding the fiscal year 2018-2019 annual report and our fiscal year 2019-2020 plan update as promised at your June 18th board meeting. In accordance with AB 109, AB 117, the county created a Community Corrections Partnership, or the CCP committee, and developed a plan that will enable the county to meet the goals of public safety realignment. The CCP Executive Committee in Tuolumne County consists of 7 members: the Chief Probation Officer, who chairs the committee, the presiding judge of the Superior Court, the district attorney, the sheriff, the public defender, the behavioral health director of behavioral health, and the City of Sonora's chief of police. Present today, I saw District Attorney Krieg, Sheriff Pooley, Behavioral Health Director Michael Wilson, and I believe Court Executive Officer Hector Gonzalez. I would like to take a moment to thank the Executive Committee and all who participate in the partnership. It is an honor to serve alongside the dedicated public servants and elected officials who are committed to the safety of our community with the goals of restoring victims, reducing recidivism, and strengthening our families. Today, we are also honored to have at least one consumer or participant in some of the services that are being provided by AB 109 funding. I appreciate his willingness to share some of his journeys with us, and I thank him for taking the time to be with us this morning. The presentation will follow the same format as last year. CCP and agency members are here to answer questions you may have and may also provide additional information that they may want to share. The presenters today are our data collector, Shanna Relay, Staff Services Analyst, and Amy Arndt, our Probation Business Manager, and she's also our CCP Fiscal Gatekeeper. So I'm going to turn it over to them.
Just a little background history on AB 109. In 2011, Governor Jerry Brown signed the Public Safety Realignment Act, as we know as AB 109. Since its implementation, certain nonviolent, non-serious, and non-sex offenders serve their felony prison sentences locally. California Penal Code 1230.1 was amended to create the Community Corrections Partnership at the county level, and on July 19, 2011, the Board of Supervisors designated the Probation Department as the supervising county agency for the post-release community supervision program. The CCP is responsible for developing and implementing the local public safety realignment plan, and funds are to be spent on evidence-based and promising practices, including day reporting centers, behavioral health treatment, electronic monitoring, victim restitution programs, counseling and education, community service, and work training. There are two target populations that we supervise locally, and it's the post-release community supervision offenders and the mandatory supervision offenders. The post-release community supervision offenders are offenders who were released back into the community after serving a term in state prison, and they're supervised by the probation department. Before AB 109, they were placed on a grant of parole, and then they were supervised by CDCR. The next population is the mandatory supervision offenders, and they serve their felony prison commitments locally rather than in state prison. There are two types of commitments. One is a split sentence commitment, and the other is a jail-only commitment. The most common is the split sentence, and offenders serve their portion of their sentence in county jail. And then the remaining portion, they're supervised by the probation department. In rare cases, we see offenders receive a jail-only sentence, and they serve their entire sentence in custody. As your board is aware, Tuolumne County has implemented a pretrial release program, and what prompted this program was on any given day, 75% of our county jail was occupied by inmates who had not been sentenced. In fiscal year 17-18, the CCP formalized a pretrial release program. Goals were to ensure safety of the community, improve court appearance rate, protect the presumption of innocence, provide fairness, and maximize the number of jail beds for sentenced inmates. A risk assessment tool was designed to meet the demographics of this county and has been utilized since November of 2017. The tool scores individuals in terms of their risk to miss court appearances and their likelihood to be arrested on a new offense. The risk assessment tool scores individuals as low, moderate, and high risk. Typically, if you are assessed as low risk, you are released from jail with dates to appear in court. If you're assessed as moderate risk, you are released, placed on electronic monitoring, and you're monitored by the probation department with certain terms and conditions. If you're assessed as high risk, you are released by the order of the court, or you have posted bail established by the court. But it's important to mention that no matter what you score, all of the releases are at the discretion of the judge. During fiscal year 18-19, 236 pretrial release individuals were monitored in some capacity by probation staff. This graph shows our success rate, and we have a 79% success rate, and you were considered to be successful if you appeared at all your court hearings and you did not attain any new law violations, and you were unsuccessful if you absconded from court or you were arrested on new charges. AB 109 funding supported the probation department, the sheriff's office, GEO reentry programming, the district attorney, and the behavioral health department. AB 109 funding supported probation staff, electronic monitoring, work release, community service, our high-risk supervision team, and pretrial implementation activities. AB 109 funding supported electronic monitoring, and we have 2 devices that we use to track and monitor our offenders, and we have a GPS device that tracks their location at any given time, and an alcohol device that provides continuous alcohol monitoring. The bottom right of the screen shows an example of an offender's location over a given day. And in the last fiscal year, we had 293 total enrollments.
That's a quick question or clarification. Is that 293 AB 109 or is that probation in general?
Altogether.
Altogether, okay.
AB 109 funding also supported the work release program, and it's the primary alternative to custody. It is directly supervised charitable and public service work throughout the county. Last fiscal year, we logged 2,275 work release days, which was a 32% increase from last year. We logged 13,650 work hours, and if you calculate that at minimum wage, it was $163,800 worth of labor, and 90% of that was performed on county projects. And these are some examples of work release projects. We have landscaping in Twainhart, painting of the Groveland Community Center. AB 109 also supported the community service program. In last fiscal year, we recorded just over 16,300 hours at local nonprofit organizations, and it was a 34% increase since last year. AB 109 also supported the high-risk supervision team, and the high-risk supervision team is made up of 1 supervising probation officer, 1 senior probation officer, and 2 sheriff deputies. The high-risk supervision team performs probation compliance checks out in the field. They conduct searches. They provide drug testing. They assist with warrant service, and they also make referrals to treatment services. In the last fiscal year, they conducted over 800 probation compliance checks. They assisted Tuolumne County Sheriff's investigators with search and arrest warrants. They arrested 86 individuals on fresh charges and warrants. They recovered stolen property. They seized illegal drugs, and they seized illegally owned firearms and ammunition. This is a picture of our team, and we have supervising probation officer Shauna Kurzich here to talk a little bit more about the high-risk supervision team.
I'm bringing our newest member also. I'm Officer Kurzich with probation, like she said. Our team just recently changed, so Sergeant Nikifork and Deputy Spear have went on back to the Sheriff's Department, and now we have Sergeant Quaylar with us. It's the second day. So I'm going to tell you what we do out in the field. Yeah, like she said, this partnership with the Sheriff's Department is awesome. This team is essential to supervising the many, many people that are on probation in this county. Officer Johnson and I, we supervise around 120 to 130 people right now. We have 4 other officers in the department that have equal 120 each on their caseload. We supervise the high risk, like she showed in the PowerPoint, the PRCS, mandatory supervision, and those individuals that fall into that high risk category. The purpose of this team and the importance is that every single day we're out all over this community and going and checking on probationers and making sure they're complying with those terms and conditions of probation. And we need a team because we never know what we're going to walk into. We've walked into some really dangerous situations. We never know how many are going to be in the house, aggressive dogs on a regular basis. We do spend a large portion of our time looking for people that have felony warrants, that have absconded court and us. They run from us on a regular basis. They hide in houses from us. So this need for this team, and ideally one more would be awesome, is essential to our going home at night. And the other great thing about the partnership is that my partner and I not just go in the field, we have office work to do and reports to write. And the sheriff's department steps in when we get these new cases. And like she had said, we have got drug sales cases this year, stolen property. They can step in and write the paper on that and see that through while we focus on the probation side. So there is a lot of active field work, chasing people around, but the other side of what we do in probation is we really seek to encourage change, even though we're in all this and, out there taking people to jail on a very regular basis. But we also want to instill that change, and we actually have, one is here today that did it all on his own, but it's awesome to see the change when people really want it. We're there to encourage, and we're there to be their support. So I'm thrilled to be part of this team, and we look at it like, keeping the community safe, but also helping people change their lives. You don't have to speak if you don't want to. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This next slide, we have a snapshot of active felony probationers since the inception of AB 109. And as you can see, there's a significant drop in our felony population, and that is attributed to Prop 47. With Prop 47, we saw certain low-risk felony offenses become reduced to misdemeanors.
Can I interrupt you just a second?
Sure.
I just want the public to understand this, and this isn't anything not meant as a negative comment to what you do, because you're doing great stuff. But that isn't a decrease in crime out there, okay? It's just a reclassification of crime. So that I think that's important for the public to know, because we still have problems that aren't showing up on slides like this, because it's just crime that's been reclassified from a felony to a misdemeanor. And I had to say, the devil made me do that. Okay, so thank you, and please keep on going.
And just to piggyback off that, although we saw Prop 47 decrease our felony population by removing those lower risk felonies, it left us with a much higher risk felony population than we were supervising before. This next slide shows you how we're doing. This shows the felony supervision failures and how Tuolumne County compares with the state as well as other similar counties. A failure is when an offender is revoked to prison or jail, meaning they were convicted of a new offense and or a violation of their probation, and sentence was imposed to either jail or prison. And collectively, we had been below the state average, which is a testament to how we're doing and that our programs and services are working. AB 109 funding also supported the sheriff's office. It supported jail staffing, the male inmate work crew, and the female inmate work crew. An AB 109 in custody snapshot showed that 12% of the jail is made up of AB 109 offenders. 30% of them participated in work crews, 12% participated in NAAA, 18% participated in religious programming, 12% participated or were working on their GEDs, and 18% were actively involved in the jail reentry programming. AB 109 supported the jail inmate work crew program, and it provides vocational skills, keeps inmates productive while serving their sentences. It has reduced recidivism, and it promotes positive inmate behavior. It provides valuable services and products to the community, and last fiscal year they had 79 inmates assigned, and they recorded over almost 117,000 work hours were recorded without incident. They've generated over $107,000 in revenue, and they've saved the county over $64,000 in labor. These are some examples of the projects the female inmate work crew work on. Male inmate work crew projects. Brush clearing. Since the inception, they've had 312 inmates assigned, and 69 of them have been rearrested, which gives a recidivism rate of 22%. AB 109 also supported GEO reentry services, and they provide our day reporting center and our jail reentry program. This programming, the day reporting center programming, is for our offenders that are out of custody, and our jail reentry program is for our offenders that are in custody. The day reporting center is a highly structured program for moderate to high risk offenders, and they provide evidence-based intensive treatment to help prevent future criminal behavior and encourage positive social attitudes. The DRC programming includes moral recognition therapy groups, individual cognitive behavioral therapy, substance abuse classes and drug testing, parenting classes, job skills, resume workshops, community service, and referrals to community service.
And I'll interrupt you again.
Yeah.
If you haven't, I'm sure that Linda Downey will help you. If you haven't actually gone down there and taken a look at that day reporting center and what they're doing, you've really missed some very good programs that this county is providing and doing some very good services, redirecting people on better paths. So it's a really good operation down there. I did get to go down there twice, actually. So encourage you to do that. Thank you.
This graph shows our DRC discharges by year, and we have 3 classifications of successful, unsuccessful, and other. Successful is being defined as completing all assigned programs and services, and it's a minimum of 210 days to do that. If you are unsuccessful, you did not complete the programming for reasons such as noncompliance, you absconded, or maybe you went back to jail. And other is considered to be when the individual did not complete the program for reasons such as maybe their supervision was transferred out of county, maybe they went to treatment, or maybe they had earned full-time employment. And some of the explanations for the low overall success rate is that the program is a very intensive, extensive, and demanding program. It takes a minimum of 210 days. In order to move from one phase to the next, you have to complete all of your assignments and remain drug-free. Also, our numbers here are based on referrals and not individuals. So an individual may be referred several times and classified as unsuccessful before they're classified as successful once. And it's important to look at our others because they could be discharged for positive reasons, such as gaining full-time employment, or maybe they had to go to treatment. We also have the jail reentry program, and it's an evidence-based treatment for inmates while they're incarcerated, and they're either court mandated or they can volunteer to participate. The overall goal is to prepare the inmates for successful reentry back into the community. This is our JRP discharges by year. It's pretty similar to the DRC, but to be successful in the JRP, you must complete 50% of the program and leave in good standing. If you are unsuccessful, you did not complete due to noncompliance, and other is considered when maybe they were released from jail early and they couldn't complete the programming, or they were released and they were expected to finish their programming at the day reporting center. These are some JRP participants who completed their high school diploma while in custody. And I believe we have Program Manager Lisette Ortiz here to speak about the DRC and the JRP program.
Good morning. Like she mentioned, I'm Lisette Ortiz. I'm the program manager for the Tuolumne Day Reporting Center and the Jail Reentry Program. So I just wanted to share some highlights regarding our programs this year. You guys should have a little packet. I think the first front page is this. So I wanted to share some highlights in regards to that report. So that's a 2018-2019 program report. Some key information off that report is that we served a total of 138 participants from July 1st of 2018 through June 30th of 2019. If you see in the employment gates, when participants started the program, 3% came in with some kind of income source, and at the exit of the program, 28% were had an employment, some kind of employment source or a source of income, which is a 25% increase. Our overall attendance at the day reporting center is between the 80s and 90%. And then 66% of the participants that went through our program tested clean throughout the program. Along that packet, there is also another report. It's what we call the criminal thinking scale. And it shows basically we implemented the criminal thinking scale in the summer of 2019, and it basically measures an offender's thinking patterns, such as their antisocial thinking, their entitlement, the lack of responsibilities, and 3 other domains. In short, it analyzes to see if our program is making an impact in regards to changing offenders' thinking pattern. As you can see in the report, from when they started the program to when they exit the program, there is a decrease in criminal thinking amongst the offenders that we served in our program. And then the last thing I wanted to share with you as well is this year in August of 2019, we had what we call an evidence-based practice technician assistant visit. The purpose of that was to measure the effectiveness of our office in delivering evidence-based practices. Basically, they ask if we are keeping the fidelity of evidence-based practices and whether our office is in alignment with what works with our offenders. Staff were interviewed, participants were interviewed, and essentially our office received a 94%. Which means we are keeping and maintaining the EBP fidelity. So in short, we're in alignment with evidence-based practices, we're maintaining the fidelity, and because we're doing that, we're being more effective with making a change with the offender population that we serve.
Thank you. Anybody got any questions? I just got a comment. I had the privilege of attending one of those graduations up there. And it's really heartwarming when you realize that they were able to complete their high school education while incarcerated. It's just one of the ways, and there's a lot of other ones, where we're really trying to change people's lives, not just put them behind bars and throw away the key. So thank you.
Thank you. And then I have a participant who was a graduate in our fall here, and he's just going to say a few words. His name is Anthony White Ramos.
Hello, it's a privilege to be here. My name is Anthony White Ramos. I just wanted to add a few points about the GEO reentry program. It was highly influential upon myself. It provided a level of accountability that was necessary for me to get my life back on track. It was one of many elements. I also sought out church. Probation was very assistive, and Narcotics Anonymous. I saw not only myself be able to reach certain levels of accountability that were foreign to me at the time while I was trying to rehabilitate my life into coming back on track. And I can see much success coming out of it in the future. It's generally that accountability that we lose focus on that helps the most. So since then, it's been no small order. I've maintained over 2 years sobriety. I have independent transportation, housing, sustainable income. I've applied and received scholarships through college, and I've received straight A's. And if it wasn't for the GO reentry program to help me get focused on that accountability aspect, I don't think I would have had the discipline necessary to carry out the academic success that I've achieved in college thus far. So, that being said, it's a privilege to be here, and I think the GO reentry program is a terrific program that's helped me and can help many others.
I'd really like to thank you for sharing your story. We believe in the program, but I want to tell you how powerful it is to hear from somebody that has actually walked through it. And so thank you very much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Supervisor Gray.
You're a great example for everybody out there that has had problems, and I think you're proof that people can change to get better, so thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Gray.
Yeah, and thank you very much for sharing your story. It's so easy to judge and to look at people who have gotten into situations that have, they've either gotten in with a bad crowd, they've grew up with a difficult home life. There are a myriad of reasons that can lead people to end up incarcerated, and it's easy to judge, but the fact remains that it's in the best interest of not just people who are getting out of incarceration, it's in the best interest of all of us, of our community, that tools are available for people that have made mistakes, and that those tools are available for them to get back on track. Because most of the people that become incarcerated will get out someday. And so is it in our best interest that they have the tools to succeed, or are we just going to hope that, there's no more recidivism or that we can lock them up again and throw away the key? So you're a testament to those resources, and thank you very much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Well, I get to see Anthony every now and then because he goes to the same place of worship I go to at Chapel in the Pines. And for me, it's cool because I work in a prison. I don't get to see this very often. And what I like the most about you, Anthony, is you're not a victim. And we live in a society that plays a victim card all day long. And we live in the greatest nation in the world where if you want to get your act together and work hard and get a good life for yourself, you can do that. And there's community who will love on people, and there's programs who will help people get on track, but they have to decide that they're not going to be a victim, and they have to work hard. And that's what I love about your story, and you have a lot to be proud of. And I just commend you for doing what you're doing. And the road to recovery, it doesn't end today. With addiction, it's something that you'll have to face. But I think you're a rock star, in my opinion, when it comes to this. So congratulations, and whatever you want to do, you can do it. So congratulations.
I, on behalf of our entire county, I want to thank you for making the choice to take the path you've made. It's not an easy path, and it's not a path that has an end. I know, we all face challenges every day, so we just got to keep our head down and keep moving forward. But I want to thank you for making the choice that you made. I want to congratulate you for the amount of work that you've already put into it. And I want to encourage you to continue down that path as you go forward. And thank you very much. And I think we owe him a round of applause.
Well, if I may reciprocate my thanks to you for the very warm words that have been spoken by the committee here. And I'd like to thank you very much for the funding that you provide for the programs that have made this all possible. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
AB 109 funding also supported the district attorney's office and the victim witness program and attorney staffing. The victim witness program offers support and information about victims' rights within the criminal justice system through services such as case status updates, court escorts, referral to community services, information regarding restitution, jail release information, assists in collecting restitution information, and victim impact statements for pre-sentencing reports. And then the last fiscal year, they provided services to 288 new victims of crime, and they offered over 5,500 services to those victims. The DA's office also appears on all court calendars where an individual violates their PRCS or mandatory supervision by providing a deputy district attorney to staff all of these hearings. They review the petition and they represent the people at the hearing. And in the last fiscal year, they made 101 PRCS hearings. They attended 3 contested PRCS hearings and attended 78 violation of mandatory supervision hearings. AB 109 funding also supported the behavioral health department and supported residential and housing services and staffing. And in September of 2018, a behavioral health clinician was assigned to probation full-time, and she provides mental health services to our probationers. And she connects our offenders to services very quickly, which was a problem in the past, and she closes that service gap. And she provides mental health services to 54 offenders, and 13 of them are AB 109. And a highlight of her work is that she recently secured SSI disability payments for 3 of our offenders, and that can be a very lengthy process. And our behavioral health clinician, Sheila Redowdy, is here to speak a little bit more about what she does.
Good morning. I am Sheila Redowdy. Some of you know me in the community in other roles that I have, but today I am the clinician with behavioral health that has been co-located in probation for over a year now. I'd like to share with you that it's not any one person or agency or service, but it takes engagement with the client, assessing their needs, providing the services within the interagency, also with our community partners, with our nonprofit community partners that provide clothing, food, shelter at times, and even the 12-step programs, just to mention a few. But with all that being said, this position is unique and it is key, and that early engagement is critical. And because of the position and the way that it's been set up, I can get referrals from their probation officers right in probation if they've identified an individual as needing assistance. I can go to the jail if they've been identified there. Individuals that are in state prison that will be coming out on PRCS, AB 109. We have video conferences. They get to meet me that way. So there's engagement right away. That engagement can take the form of not only providing therapy services, but also referring them to full-service partnership. We have multidisciplinary team meetings that we have the client come and any of the other county providers to help with these clients to make them successful and help them be successful. With that being said, I'd like to say that it's been an honor and a privilege to serve the population that I service. I'd like to share a few examples of some successful stories. Because of confidentiality, you won't be able to identify who they are, but I think that you'll get an understanding of some of the engagement and services that they had. An individual in their 50s who had been in the prison system for over 30 years, total, in and out. So you can imagine they're in their 50s, so most of their adult life in and out of state prison, was released on PRCS, AB 109. While on probation, they received behavioral health services, including therapy, medication services, engagement at the enrichment center. They engaged with the benefit resource person who helped that client to secure Social Security. That individual was successful on probation and completed probation. Our last session, that individual said, I haven't had a time in my life when I've not been on parole or probation. They cried and I cried. New beginnings. Another person in his 50s, on probation, homeless for several years, engaged with mental health services, not only therapy but medication services, at the Enrichment Center, the SB 82 outreach workers, the resource and benefit person, again, helped this individual to secure Social Security funding. This person now has permanent housing, and we can now work on other goals that they have for themselves. Housing is critical. And lastly, an individual in their 20s who started using drugs when they were in their teens. This individual was released on PRCS, AB 109, engaged in therapy services, got a job for the first time, and worked through what's it like to be an employee, have an employer, ask for time off. And this last semester, completed classes in college. They remain clean and sober, and that isn't the end of their story. I want to thank you for your time. I hope you continue to support the position and the CCP.
Okay. After this, who cares about what we're going to talk about next?
Oh, we care.
But we're going to run through it. So I'm here to talk about some things that Linda's mostly gone through with you in June with our original budget and goals and our plan update for the year. So we're just going to run through them really quickly. So in fiscal year 2018-19, the CCP set several new goals in addition to the goal that had been set in previous years to formalize a pretrial release program. So these new goals were to form a multidisciplinary team to work together towards identifying and treating AB 109 offenders' diverse needs. And then also formation of a trial mental health competency program to assist those offenders who are found mentally incompetent to stand trial with treatment and possibly even competency restoration services while they're incarcerated locally. A lot of progress has been made over the past year towards those goals. The multidisciplinary treatment team was formed, the members and their roles were identified, and that team is meeting regularly, up and running under Sheila's coordination and facilitation. As mentioned, Sheila was hired as our first behavioral health clinician embedded at probation. And the Sheriff's Office has begun exploring a jail-based competency restoration program at the new jail, and it's modeled after a successful program that they've explored it through Stanislaus County. So in terms of the revenue for this year, it's kind of a moving target because there's estimates that come out in January, and then they're generally revised in May after the CCP has made its budget, and then but actuals for growth funding aren't known until usually September, October, after the fiscal year's begun, and then the base allocation for the year. It's estimated through the year because it's based on actual receipts of sales tax and vehicle license fees. But with all that said, we expect to receive just under $3 million in fiscal year 2019-20. Growth is something that we knew we were going to receive more growth funding than we generally had in past years. In past years, we generally didn't receive over $150,000 in growth, but for the previous year's growth performance incentive funding, we received $676,000, which is about $550,000 more than we would generally expect. That's largely due to a significant improvement in felony probation outcomes. I think Linda had mentioned that in our original goals and budget presentation for the CCP. That growth funding is based on a number of different factors, most significantly probation performance factors, but then also prison outcomes too, return to prison rate and improvement in that area too. So with that additional funding, a couple of departments funded by the CCP requested additional funding just within this fiscal year. So the first, as Linda mentioned, was the sheriff's office for startup costs for 5 jail deputy positions. And then the second was the probation department with $150,000 request spanning multiple fiscal years to provide supportive services to identified individuals who have been vetted by the multidisciplinary treatment team and shown to need and that they could really benefit from any kind of services that could remove barriers to their success. So in terms of expenses, that with those 2 additional proposed items, that would bring our expense budget to just over $2.7 million. Like with most budgets, the vast majority of that spending comes in the form of salary and benefits. The next most significant category of expenses is professional services, and most of that is our GEO contract, but also any electronic monitoring and drug testing that isn't paid for by client fees or another program. Like, so for example, our electronic monitoring attributed to pretrial for the next couple of years is going to be diverted into a pretrial grant that we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, most of that is towards the GEO programming at the Day Reporting Center and Jail Reentry Program. So in terms of the funded departments, a lot of this is pretty status quo from last year. So most of the things that Shanna was talking about, what they did last year, that funding was continued at 2018-19 levels. The clinician position, part of that is funded by AB 109, and part of it is funded directly by the probation department. There was also some increased funding towards housing and residential substance abuse treatment for AB 109 offenders. And the CCP is still providing pretty limited funding for recovery counselor and peer specialist positions to support AB 109 clients. In the district attorney's office, the CCP continues to fund a full-time victim witness advocate assigned to victims of AB 109 offenders. And CCP's increased funding for criminal division attorney staffing. So right now they're at the level of a 0.5 FTE to work on PRCS and mandatory supervision cases. In the probation department, that funding was also continued by and large at 2018-19 levels, and that includes 8 staff who operate work release, high-risk supervision, and other AB 109 related services. We did get some funding for pretrial release program implementation and activities. And then there's that pending request just approved for supportive services to remove barriers for individuals with needs. And then, so our GEO reentry services contract, and that's continued at the same level to support the Day Reporting Center activities and the jail reentry programming. One cost savings in that area was our alternatives to detention, and the Day Reporting Center used to be located out on Highway 49, but we terminated that lease in November of 2018 and brought the DRC programming into a county-owned building located at the old hospital. And as well as our work release, we located those into county buildings. And so that'll save just under $60,000 for this fiscal year and ongoing in that neighborhood. And then the sheriff's office continued funding at the same levels as we had in 2018-19, which includes mostly staffing, some training services, and the purpose of the staffing for the sheriff's office, it just remains to ensure the proper care, control, safety, and skill enhancement of those AB 109 inmates that would have previously been in prison. And also the pending funding request that was just approved would also allow the sheriff's office to fund some startup costs for some jail deputies in the new jail. So we're going to talk a little bit about bail reform that's been on the radar for the last couple years. Currently, it's on the ballot for this November. So what SB 10 proposes to do is to replace cash bail with a risk assessment system. So Tuolumne County's been doing this, honing this for the past number of years, but a lot of counties don't really have this program yet, or it's in the very initial stages. But so the risk assessments would be based on the probability of reoffense, their likelihood to appear in court, and the likelihood that they'll stay safe in the community while they're awaiting their trials. So what SB 10 would do is it would mandate a statewide system that we're currently doing, but it's not required. So we're waiting for the outcome in November, what the voters will say, but regardless, we should probably expect some major bail reform in the future. So to that end, the Superior Court identified or, found this grant available through the Judicial Council of California for pretrial pilot programming. For local courts to launch and evaluate pretrial projects. So that grant was applied for in, I think, late June or early July, and in early August, the Superior Court was awarded a 2-year, $588,000 grant. And so this program is going to allow the county to improve upon our current pretrial release program and work towards that evidence-based tool that is validated and will hopefully make this, quite viable, and whether or not bail reform becomes mandatory, that we can have a good program in place that's fair. And so just in sum, the Public Safety Realignment Act, the implementation initial plan and the updated plans that the CCP brings to you each year, they're just meant to provide a comprehensive approach to addressing public safety and reducing recidivism, keeping people safe in the community. And with that, we'll take your questions or comments if you have any.
On the board, questions?
No question, just a comment. I think it was in Sunday's Modesto Bee, there was an article, opinion by, I think it was Dan Walters, about the spending of AB 109 money. And I read this article and I thought, well, this is not Tuolumne County. He was very critical of the way that a lot of counties are spending money. They put it, give it all to the sheriff. Thumbs up.
No, you can't move.
But in this particular, in our county, we have such a strong partnership, and if Mr. Walters would have seen this presentation, I think mine might be changed a little bit. That we do spend the money right, and it's attributed to all you guys. So thank you.
I didn't know you guys were doing that practice for the bail, so I think that's wise with the way California's headed. So good job on that. Is there anybody here who is dealing with the homeless issue that was here earlier this morning? Any hands? Well, if you're listening, I just kind of want to bring up a point. If you could go to, it was page 16 on the presentation, the jail reentry program. I just kind of wanted to point this out to anybody listening and also the board. I thought this did a good job of putting it in a graph. Again, it's the jail reentry program, right? DRP discharge by year. Yeah. So So if you go back one more slide, you have Day Reporting Center. If you go back one more. No, the other way. Other way. Yes, day, right there. So this, if you listen to my Motherload talk about homelessness and specifically drug addiction, drug abuse, when you take people and you have to take them to a DRC, which means you're not in jail, you're not in prison, you have to report to DRC. You see that it's not very, but it's more unsuccessful than it is successful. And then if you go to the next slide, when you're incarcerated and you're provided services, the chances of success for treatment goes up. So with the homeless issue on the rise and what we're going to be coming together and dealing with as a community is the stickler, I believe, for the homeless issue and with drug addiction is when you have people who have the option to not receive services, the success rate is much lower. So where the state, I believe, erred is if we could lock people up who have drug addiction, who are committing offenses, when they're incarcerated and you provide services, the chance for success and rehabilitation is much more greater. So that, to me, was just a good example to show people in this room and the board that's going to be the uphill battle with the homeless issue. Again, we're going to come together, we're going to provide services, but as long as those people have an option to leave and come go as they please, it's really hard to affect change in that area. I didn't say we won't be able to, but when you're incarcerated and you provide those services, and that's where the state erred, and that's where the state is starting to fix what they're doing. People who are locked up, we're going to start providing much more intensive treatment. But unfortunately, that population, people who need it, are on our streets homeless and not incarcerated. So I'm sure I'll be talking more about this in the future, but that's something that's important to me moving forward with the homeless issue and how we provide services. So hopefully that made sense.
Anyone else? Supervisor Brennan?
So you just identified someone else that should be participating in our task force. And,
Count me in.
So, two pieces. I want to put an exclamation point on team because I think it really is the team that makes Tuolumne County so successful. And that success obviously is illustrated with getting $550,000 in additional funding because it really is, it was based on, I think I read it in the report and you said on the success that we've had. The evidence-based piece, all of what we are doing to change lives is important, but our district attorney, I saw her, she had to leave, and I specifically wanted to also say that the piece of this that we can't forget is the victims. And I'm proud of Tuolumne County because we actually acknowledge that, we work on that, and that is part of this team effort. And so I want her to know that, appreciate her piece in this, even though I know she's got a very busy schedule. But it is the team, and the emphasis is on team. And our success is in so many instances in this county is looking out at all of the faces and all of the accountability that we have in place to success. So as you go back, carry the message from this board of how much we appreciate it. We try and say it. We don't often say it enough to all of the different departments. But please carry that back because we do understand that the team effort is what is the exclamation point on our success. Thank you.
Supervisor Campbell.
Yeah, I'll just say it was a great presentation. One thing that shocked me was that realignment, AB 109, was 2011. I saw that and I thought, wow, was it really that long ago? But the way we treat criminal offenders and the way just law enforcement in general and what comes after jail and prison has just changed immensely in a very short period of time. And we've been kind of at the point of, or you have been the point of the spear in that change. And I think Tuolumne County is a good model for other areas. Certainly, with the limited resources we have and in a small community, I think it's pretty hard to do much better than what we have. So thank you.
Okay, I'm going to ask for public comment.
That was an excellent presentation. I love it when people come and tell their stories and I don't get hours of dry statistics. So there was a lot. I'll try to see what I can remember. So I really want to applaud our community, because when we have people in crisis or acting out, we don't shoot them and we don't kill them. So the absence of violence we direct towards trying to help these people, I really appreciate, because I always say in another county they'd shoot you first. So I'm glad we're not one of those counties. And at one time in the community, I actually agreed to be on a board here. And I haven't done it since. It was motherlode job training. And I advocated over and over and over again for some resources to educate and job training for inmates. And nobody was interested. They didn't think it was cost effective. They didn't think it would be a good use of resources. So I'm really glad to see that that's changed in our community. And then Sergeant Coilar left, but he's like my favorite sheriff person. And they are so lucky to have him in that department. He has the most amazing, I love that guy. He's got the most amazing social skills. So I'd like to see him out in the community at large, but I think he'll be really good in this population. So congratulations, he's a find. And I hope he serves as a mentor for many of your participants. And I really applaud Mr. White Ramos, who shared his story. And I heard him talking in the elevator, and he was so stunned that you all had positive things to say to him. So it's really brave for someone to do that. And I think that's all I can remember. And I'm really going to miss Linda. But I know she has a really good replacement in mind. And then several organizations are always looking for speakers. And I always recommend people from these departments, because they have such wonderful, worthwhile stories to share, and nobody hears them. And a word of caution to our local media, who I think spends way too much time celebrating our local criminals. They get their picture, they get their name, they'll whip it out of their pocket, they'll show you that they were in the paper or they were on the radio, and we really should spend more time applauding people who do good work in our community. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Hector Gonzalez. I'm the new court executive officer for Tuolumne Superior Court, so I thought I'd introduce myself. But I also wanted to speak about the pretrial program, and particularly the grant and the work of the CCP and the probation. The $550,000 grant that we received from the Judicial Council was a competitive grant, and the only way we got it was because of the great work of the probation department over the years. The leadership they took in the CCP to establish in Tuolumne our own local pretrial program without any assistance other than what was provided through the CCP was crucial in our being able to get that grant. They gave a preference to counties that showed a desire to use this program and had done their own resources. They used their own resources to establish their programs here before this funding was available. So we owe it all to probation to have the program and the funding that we now have. Now, that funding is only a 2-year funding. So I know the court and other courts are going to propose that continued funding be provided after the 2 years to support what is being done. We don't want to rely on the CCP unnecessarily. If we, as a state, believe in pretrial, even if SB 10's terms are vacated by the initiative, pretrial is still occurring in the state because the Judicial Council has determined that regardless of what occurs with the initiative, they will support pretrial programs. So I want you to understand that the defeat of SB 10 will not end pretrial programs. They will be supported somehow by the Judicial Council or through separate funding. And we're well poised to be able to continue to receive that assistance, which I know our court is going to push at a state level to continue to receive. So I just wanted to give it a lot of kudos for probation for all the work they did. We're really going to miss Linda, and I know that whoever you hire, I'm sure will continue the good work that she's done from here on.
Thank you. And we very much appreciate the support and cooperation of the courts. It's a community solution. It really is.
Yeah, thank you, Supervisor. I've come from another county, Mono County, which is an even smaller county than Tuolumne. And believe it or not, there are smaller counties than Tuolumne, because you're the big city to us in Mono. And the level of cooperation here is very unusual given the size of this county, because the more people you have, the more drama that there can be. And I know that we're fortunate in this community on the partnerships that you keep mentioning.
Thanks.
So hope to continue that.
Thank you. We do too. Okay. I don't believe there's any action on this one. Am I correct? Okay. So this is information only. So I'm going to wrap it up. I just want to thank all the partners. We have, and this goes to all the department heads, but we have the most amazing law and justice team in this county. DA, sheriff, probation, mental health, behavioral health. I'm going to miss somebody, and then I'm going to be really upset at myself. But everybody that participates in this CCP is just an incredible leader in their own right, and as a team, they're awesome. So I just want to thank you all for everything that you do, and I really do believe that we honestly set the example for the rest of this state. And I got a hand wave from Supervisor Brennan, so I'm going to let her make the closing.
Yeah, just for the public's benefit, because we did talk about an amended budget for 1920, and the action here is really that in accordance with AB 117, the plan or budget is deemed accepted unless the board votes to reject it. So just for clarification for the public.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate the presentation. With the clerk of the board, please read item number 13.
Consideration of approving an agreement with Tuolumne Park and Recreation District for the maintenance and operation of the county facilities in the Tuolumne area.
Good morning. Eric Earhart, County Administrator's Office. As you're aware, Tuolumne County owns several recreational facilities in the township of Tuolumne, including the Jerry Whitehead Field, Veterans Memorial Hall, Westside Memorial Park, Youth Center, and the library. For well over 20 years, we've had a partnership and an agreement with Tuolumne Parks and Recreation to provide service to those facilities. Before you today is another agreement. It's a 5-year agreement with the district to provide housekeeping services, basic maintenance, and scheduling of events for the facilities listed above. For the service, the district would be compensated $110,000 a year in year one of the agreement, and that would increase by 2% each year. As part of this agreement, the district would be entitled to retain any rental fees they receive. However, is the intent that those fees will be applied back to maintenance at the facility that they provide. Any repairs or upgrades up to $250 they will do on their own at their own cost, and that's what those rental fees are intended for. Anything beyond that would be authorized and conducted through Tuolumne County Facilities Department. So with that, the recommendation is that your board would approve and authorize the chair to sign the attached service agreement with Tuolumne Parks and Recreation in the amount of $110,000 for fiscal year 1920.
Okay, any public comment? Bring it back to the board.
Yeah, since it's in my district, I'll make a recommendation to approve staff recommendation. Did I say that backwards? A motion to approve staff recommendation. But first of all, I want to thank you guys. I know during the budget, the contract got brought up, and I was fine for cutting it if it made sense, but we went out there. James said it's the first time any county representative has ever, other than a supervisor, has ever been out to the office or to the grounds. Yeah. So that says a lot about you guys and what you're doing. But they really do. They do a great job keeping the grounds up. I grew up going to Motherlode. That area was a dump when I was in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, and over the years it's just transformed. It's a beautiful place, and with the CRC coming on board too, I know it's just going to continue to thrive. So it's a small contract, but it's a big deal for Tuolumne City, and I appreciate you guys doing that and the board considering it, because I think dollar for dollar, we realized it was the best way to spend that money, and so thank you guys for doing that and staff. And so with that, I'll move on the recommendation, on the motion. I keep doing that.
And I'll second, and I'll also agree with Supervisor Kirk. I think, for the size of this contract compared to what it does in the community and the number of of people that use the services provided in these areas. It's just dollar for dollar. It's one of the best bargains, you know, in the county for these kind of for having these services available. So, you know, I think it's a really good deal, and I'm glad that we're moving ahead on it.
So I think I know the answer. Pretty sure I know the answer. But this is already in the budget, right? We're just
Yeah, correct. This is
approving
already
the contract.
in the budget.
Okay. Okay. I've got a motion by Supervisor Kirk, a second by Supervisor Campbell. Absent anything else, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? It's 5-0. The clerk of the board, please read item number 14.
This is consideration of adopting a resolution proclaiming a local state of emergency due to the severe and persistent fire danger.
Yeah, at the front end.
Good morning.
Just a second.
Go ahead.
Did I fail to do public? I thought I did it at the front. Okay. Is there any public comment on the previous item? Okay. Okay. I thought I did. Thank you. Okay. Go ahead.
Yes, good thing that, yes. Good morning, Liz Peterson, County Administrator's Office. I am here today. Well, there's been a lot that has led up to this moment. As your board is aware, Tuolumne County does face an imminent threat of disaster due to severe and persistent fire danger. We deal with overgrown forests, decades of fire suppression on public and private lands, warming climates, increased costs for fuel reduction services, extremely high levels of tree mortality. All of these things combined have created an environment in Tuolumne County that needs to be addressed. Your board has taken great measures. I mean, really stepped out in the forefront to lead the effort in the state, frankly, for fire safety and community resilience. But yet here we are, still in need of additional resources is frankly what we're here for. Your board was given some packets of information that I think are up on the dais here this morning from Cal OES about how proclamations and disaster assistance works. And I just want to highlight, it's in the staff memo as well as in the resolution that I'm requesting your board approve today, but I just want to mention that your board has the authority to proclaim a local state of emergency, not only for conditions of an existing disaster, but also for conditions of extreme peril. And that's really what we're dealing with here. That while we're not in a disaster, there's not a fire burning at the moment, the conditions are dangerous to the point that something has to happen. Your board has been extremely proactive in working with our partners. We're going to have an extensive update on what we've been doing in this past year related to fire safety at the next board meeting on the 21st. But you know, we are limited in our resources. One of the items that is in the resolution discusses the inability of I'll just read this piece. The magnitude of severe and persistent fire danger represents a threat that is beyond the capacity of Tuolumne County services. And that includes Tuolumne County government services, but also private services. That the peril that we face here in the county related to fire danger, severe and persistent fire danger, is beyond our resources. And that has been, frankly, a hindrance to us. And it's something that we continue to deal with. I think we're being creative. We're working collaboratively. We're doing a lot of great work, but we still deal with the reality that these conditions exist. And so the attached resolution is for your board's adoption. Proclaiming a local state of emergency here in Tuolumne County due to severe and persistent fire danger, and then requesting some California Disaster Assistance Act funding to be used for a variety of items that are listed in there. But, you know, mainly it would be to mitigate the threat, mitigate the extreme peril that we face. So,
okay.
Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I'm going to make an upfront comment. It is, in a lot of people's mind, a little unusual to be declaring a state of emergency when a there's not a fire going for fire safety when there isn't a fire going on. But what we're trying to do here is exactly what Liz just talked about. Is we have a situation that if we don't get resources to fix, could result in a very catastrophic fire. We don't have the resources to do that, so all of the resources that we need. And this declaration will allow us to draw on state and possibly federal resources to help us decrease the fire risk that exists out there in our community, both on public but also possibly on private lands. So it's going to give us access to additional resources so we can hopefully prevent a disaster instead of waiting for it to happen and then trying to deal with it. So that's the reason, if I'm not misspeaking, and I know I'm not.
Well, the hope is that it does, yes.
Yeah,
So this
the hope
doesn't
is-
automatically give
No,
us
I
access to
get
resources,
that.
but it starts that.
But
kind
it
of
lets
ball
us
moving. Yep.
work towards it. So that's where we're at today. I'm going to ask for public comment so I don't forget it. Okay.
Jim Phelan, the public.
All in one, right?
All in one, yes. As you know, this is something very near and dear to my heart.
Absolutely.
We're just wrapping up a $330,000 project out in the forest right now, the Mule Deer Foundation, but we need help all over. The cattlemen used to do burning every summer, right, John? Especially in your area. That quit back in the 70s. We're now in extreme danger. They quit burning the forest back in the early 1900s. We know what happened starting in 1973 with the Granite Fire, which was the biggest fire at the time, and it was only 19,000 acres. It wouldn't even be a blip on the map now. What I want to know is, can we get help with our state control offices like the CARB so we can have some control burns? I'm all for it.
Thank you. You might wait till the next agenda item a little bit.
Still good morning. Good morning, Board. The Kathleen Half, candidate for District 4 Supervisor. And as a past OES coordinator, I applaud this move. Liz has done a fabulous job, and I didn't hear you talking about the 4 different things that you're going to be asking or trying to get from the state funding, and I think that would be a wise thing to let the public know. One of them feeds right into my platform, so I'd like to accentuate that, and that is to allow for money for roads for those neighborhoods that only have one way in and one way out. Yes! Yes, I can't say it enough. I can't be any more enthusiastic. So I'm hoping that Liz will be able to read the other things that if we are granted this local emergency through the state and we get funding, what are the other things that we might accomplish? Thank you.
Okay, I'll take that as a question of staff.
Sure, happy to. So we're asking for funding from the California Disaster Assistance Act that the governor would approve for, like Kathleen mentioned, road construction for communities. As your board knows, our road funding is extremely limited in how we're able to spend it, and we're not able to spend our dollars on these types of activities for the most part. And this would be for separate dedicated funding to perform road maintenance on non-primary roads for the additional emergency ingress-egress routes. The funding will also go to vegetation management in and around public infrastructure. It would also go to defensible space assistance for seniors 60 years and older and those with access and functional needs. Again, we're asking for dedicated set-aside funding. And then we're also requesting a residential green waste removal and disposal program funding to implement something like that. In addition, we are also asking for some regulatory waivers. So the first would be CEQA waiver on fuel reduction projects that are conducted either by fire safe councils, resource conservation districts, natural resources conservation services, special districts, and Tuolumne County, as well as Department of Industrial Relations registration, a waiver on that for fuel reduction and home hardening activities.
Okay. Any other public comment? Okay, bring it back to the board. Ready for a motion then?
Well, I want to
Oh,
comment first.
okay.
I just had a couple of questions for staff.
Sure.
The first is, so this is a continuing state of emergency. How often will we revisit this? Is this monthly or?
So every 60 days, this
Every
has to
60
come
days.
back before your board to be reapproved. And that is described in the handout that's on the dais too, just, if you want some light reading in the evening, but yeah.
And then are any other counties kind of taking this a similar tack of having a persistent state of fire danger rather than linked to a specific event?
So we'll discuss that in the next item, but generally, we're the first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what would be the scenario if there was, knock on wood, if there actually was a specific event associated with this, would that warrant a new local state of emergency, or would it be attached to this particular item?
Yeah, so we would then declare a new state of emergency for that specific disaster.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this doesn't hinder us from having additional.
No, as you may
states
recall,
of
we've had
emergency.
state of emergency for drought, flooding, and tree mortality all at the same time.
Yeah. Have we had a time where we haven't been in a state of emergency since 2015?
Yes, right
This
now.
past year,
Since
yes.
now, yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure.
Supervisor Brennan.
Yeah. So I'm going to really try and not blur this item with the next item because they are so intertwined. This is a starting place. We initiated our local task force last year.
About a year ago.
Yes, we'll be coming up on a year. And you did task me with chairing that. As we have had all of our community partners in the room and been trying to do the work, we really did realize that some of the tools that we had been afforded with the tree mortality working group through the emergencies were not afforded to us currently. And we really started looking at how the tree mortality, Tuolumne County was the first county. It was in the governor's office with the group that went up there and pushed the tree mortality emergency. And so in an effort to be able to utilize all of the tools that are currently not available to us, and Ms. Peterson outlined some of the most obvious. Supervisor Rodefer also talked about, I think there will be a real effort to look at taking this to the federal level because of the nexus that we have and the energy and work that we need to do within the WUI and how those boundaries need to be addressed at the same time along with the roads issue. This is the first step. This conversation, I hope, will continue with the next item, but this is the first piece in moving that forward and trying to collect the critical mass that is needed to move this at the state and hopefully the federal level.
Okay. Supervisor Kirk.
Thanks. Last January, February, I thought, why don't we declare state of emergency? But as I've learned and am learning, the power of the rural counties and RCRC together is much more effective. So, I thought there was just a button you could push and things would happen, but it doesn't happen in government. So I'm glad we're here. I hope the other counties, as we'll discuss later, will jump on board with this. But we are at a state of emergency. The entire state, the rural counties, just an indicator, nobody can get fire insurance. I just got canceled, doubled my insurance. It doesn't matter what you do if you home harden. There's no help for that. We got tons of people in this rural community who cannot afford or don't have the physical abilities to start protecting and doing the brush clearing around their homes. And then for me, one of the biggest pains in my butt since before being elected is that Mount Provo Road. And on that, we're at a state of emergency. It's a complicated issue. It's private road. It's Forest Service road. The county road comes up to it, and we need to fix it. And we're going to have a short-term solution, but the long-term solution, it's not there. And it goes right along the number one priorities. And I'm talking to somebody up in Paradise. They actually went to Washington, D.C., and they had 6 or 7 bullet points. And one of their bullet points was when the fire came, the trees collapsed on the roads, and that's how a lot of people got stuck and died. So for me, hell, if we need an example, I got tons of documentation on that Mount Provo Road, as you know. But to me, it's a state of emergency because we don't have a long-term solution for that, and nobody has the money to fix it. So I'm all for this, moving forward, and looking forward to updates. But like you guys did a great job with the tree mortality issue, we got to start leading the way with this because it's not for political gain. This is a reality. If we're not providing safety and security and doing this on behalf of our constituents, then what are we doing up here? So
Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
Yeah, I move adoption of a resolution proclaiming a local state of emergency due to severe and persistent fire danger.
Second.
Got a motion by Supervisor Brennan and a second by Supervisor Gray. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 5-0. Would the clerk of the board please read item number 15? Don't go away, Liz.
This is consideration of adopting a joint resolution forming a regional county coalition for fire preparedness, forest health, and community resilience.
Okay, so very related to the previous item. This is a resolution for your board to adopt that, as Alicia mentioned, is really about forming a coalition of rural counties within our region. This would be a coalition with Mariposa, Tuolumne, Calaveras, Alpine, Amador, and El Dorado counties. Our office, variety of us have been meeting, mostly led by Tracy, meeting with the other CIOs of the counties. And as the resolution states, and the board memo does too, we all share so many of the same issues. Some of us have more public lands than others. I think we almost take the cake on that here in Tuolumne County. But we share. Just a lot of the same issues that prevents us or prohibits us from really being able to tackle this issue that we all see as one of the most, if not the most, the highest threat, you could say, for our counties and our residents. So at this point, the discussion is forming like I said, regional coalition. We did discuss the interest from the other counties to also declare local states of emergency. They're not quite there yet, but Mariposa County, I believe, there's definitely discussions. I'll say that. And so we'll see kind of how, just as we saw with tree mortality and some of the other things, how Tuolumne County stepping out may encourage other folks to do the same. But the point is, or the hope is with this regional coalition, that we will work as a group, united around the same issue. We will then work with RCRC, rural counties representing California, to hopefully get more buy-in from the state on this issue and more resources, really, which again is really what we need.
Okay, we do have agreement from all of these to at least consider this joint resolution, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the other counties, I apologize. The other counties will be taking this resolution for adoption to their boards this month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I get any public comment? Seeing none, bring it back to the board. Anybody have anything more to add to what we've already said? Okay, I think this is really important. I think it's also another really good example of Tuolumne County stepping out and not being afraid to be the first one to jump in the water. So with that, I'm looking for a motion.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion by Supervisor Brennan, second by Supervisor Campbell. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstain, it's 5-0. Thank you, Liz.
Thanks.
Okay, would the clerk of the board please read item number 16?
Reports.
Okay, clerk of the board.
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Okay, county council? Nothing from county council? Okay, CAO?
I just want to give a big shout out to all of our staff for this last year. It's been an amazing year. I know I've pushed everyone really hard, and your board has been supportive of that as well. So I'm looking forward to an incredible year in 2020. I know we will continue to do great things. I'm really excited about these community forums. I'm hoping people will attend. They will begin engaging with us, and these will not stop. So this isn't a one-year thing. We do plan, as long as I'm sitting in the chair, we will do these on an annual basis, as well as meet the CAO, which I do the first Friday of every month as well. And now that one, we are actually moving around the county in different areas. So hopefully I can continue to engage individuals. One of the things I do want to make everyone aware of as they're listening, because this will be happening soon, is one of my concerns, as your board is aware, is that when people step off the elevator, I watch people wander around and they don't know where to go. And it's always bothered me that we don't have any type of service desk out in this hallway. So I've been working with your board and staff to get a desk out here. So Christina and a few others have been phenomenal in helping with this. It won't be long, a few more weeks, and you will see a desk that will be out across the hallway behind the water fountain, so people can still get to the water fountain, but it will actually be a desk out there for people, and there will always be someone there. So the phones will be answered, someone to greet people when they get off the elevator. This will be a big change for us, but I am excited about it, and I just don't want people to be too surprised when they walk in and all of a sudden this desk, and it will go the length of that wall. So people will have someone to greet them and then get them connected with whomever they are looking for, or whomever they may have an appointment with.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Kirk.
Got a new calendar for 2020, so I left my old calendar at home and I don't have everything that I did. But one thing I did want to bring up that I realized I didn't bring up at the last board meeting was at the CSAC meeting that we went to. I've been a part of the juvenile hall working group, and they created a toolkit for all the juvenile halls in the state, and so there's more discussion about that. There's some solutions for utilizing halls possibly in a better way. And then also with the rise of lawsuits and jails, litigation, specifically with ADA, which I'm very close to at the prison, going to be taking a look at our jail. I'm sure they do a great job, but just trying to stay ahead of the curve on that with the new jail coming on board. And off the top of my head, I went to the churches put on an event down at the fairgrounds. Josh Pfeiffer sang there, so it was a good time. Good community event, so thank everybody who was a part of that. And that's it for now.
Okay, Supervisor Campbell.
Yeah, with the holidays, there were not a lot of committees, so I was able to do some work around the house that I've been. It's been some deferred maintenance for the past year or so. But looking forward to the future, I think CAO Riggs brought up a lot of good priorities that I think we're moving headlong forward to accomplishing, a more stable budget process. I think that we, ripped the Band-Aid off in 2019, and I think it's going to get easier in 2020 and each year following. We have some real traction on the homelessness issue in Tuolumne County. Look forward to having, moving forward with filling this position that we voted on today. I think that's going to be a real good resource in our community, and developing as many partnerships associated with that is going to be a real key to the success of that. Other just general items more specific to District 2 is, well, not necessarily, but the illegal dumping issue, I think, is something that we, hopefully we can get moving on that. And then just continuing the road improvements that have been really moving along gangbusters lately. I think we've got real traction in some of our infrastructure improvements in the county like we've not had in a decade, and continuing the progress on that is a real, it's one of our board priorities, and I think it's something that we're going to carry on through the rest of the year. So I think we did a lot of hard work in 2019, a lot of painful work, and it's still going to be painful, but hopefully a little less each year as we move forward. So here's to 2020.
Supervisor Gray.
Yeah. Good Christmas. I hope everybody had as good a one as I did. My kids and grandkids home. It was great. As Supervisor Campbell mentioned, a lot of committee meetings canceled over the holidays, and rightfully so, because it's pretty hard to get a quorum that time of year. So I'm looking forward to the upcoming year. Looking forward to my committee assignments and getting back on track of the meetings. Other than that, that's my report.
Supervisor Brennan.
Yeah, I too enjoyed a little free time the last couple of weeks to catch up on a tremendous backlog of personal work. But I did enjoy over the last couple of weeks. There was a lot of good cheer and a lot of celebration in our community, and had a lot of fun attending with the Sonora Chamber, the Tuolumne County Chamber, served at the Munster Bean Feed, which just was outstanding downtown. And again, just reminded and want to piggyback on CAO Riggs' comments about the tremendous amount of work that is done in Tuolumne County. We took a stand and did these emergency declarations, and that's going to be in addition to the workload that our county staff already has. And they continue to take these projects on, and knowing that we still have all of the other important things that we do for the county on their plate, and it doesn't go away. And so it becomes in addition to, with both our homeless conversation this morning, the emergency declaration. And it's important to acknowledge, I think, our staff and the importance of what they do for our county. And the last thing I want to be sure the public is aware that on Thursday evening, there is going to be an active transportation meeting at 5:30 at the library on Greenlee Road, and would encourage anyone to attend. That is going to be an important conversation around transportation.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Just real quick for those of you who are listening, Little Sweden, it's a mess. We were hoping the development would make that go away. It obviously hasn't gone away. So I ended up getting a hold of a deputy at Caltrans. I'm working on a solution. If they buy off on it and they agree to it, I think it would eliminate the problem completely. Again, I think it would send people elsewhere, but for that specific area, I'm working on an idea to mitigate that. So if it happens, I'll let you know, Alex. I'll let my mother know, but I'm hoping they say yes, and we'll go from there.
Okay. So here in a couple of minutes, my year as chairman will come to an end. This has been an incredibly busy year for the county, the board, and the staff. This is my 7th year, and this has been my 7th year, and I don't think I've ever seen the level of effort, busyness, workload as high as it is, as it has been. I know our board meetings have been much more densely packed. They've been challenges to get through. I want to thank the public. I want to thank our staff. I want to thank my fellow board members for helping me orchestrate our meetings. It's not always easy, but it's important. What we do here on the first and third Tuesday of the month is the most important stuff that the county does, because it is our public persona to our public persona to the people that we serve. And I have done my very best to try and orchestrate those meetings so that we get our business done including the business of letting the people speak on the issues that they want to speak on, including getting our staff presentation information out to the public so they know what we're doing, and including allowing all of my colleagues on the board the opportunity to communicate their feelings, their opinions to the public. And so, again, it's been a whirlwind year, at least it seemed like it to me. But again, thank you all for helping me get through it. And with that, I would like the clerk of the board to read our 12 o'clock appointment, only 1 minute late.
Okay, so this is the election of the chair and the vice chair of the Board of Supervisors for the County of Tuolumne for the year 2020.
And with that, I will trade you.
And I will trade you. So I also, this is kind of wanted to present the commemorative gavel to you for your great service for being the chair for 2019. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So now I will be holding the election or requesting nominations for the chair. I haven't even finished talking. For the chair for 2020.
Okay. Clerk of the board, I would like to nominate Supervisor Brennan to take over this seat as chair of the board.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, well,
Does that mean you're sitting next to me?
We do that after lunch.
Do I have any other nominations? No other nominations. So I have a motion or a nomination from former Chair Roderfer and a second from Ryan Campbell. And I'm just going to ask for those in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Those against, those abstain, and that carries unanimously. And Sherry, I will give you the gavel in just a minute, okay? So now I'm going to take nominations for the vice chair. Does anybody have any nominations for 2020?
I would nominate Supervisor Kirk as vice chair.
Campbell.
Campbell, I'm sorry.
He can't count.
What? Okay, let's repeat it.
I tried to pull a coup here. Supervisor Campbell, I apologize.
And do we have a second on that nomination?
I second Campbell.
Awesome.
And if you, because I actually had this question straight last night. I called her. I go, hey, how does this work? Would you mind explaining to people? It's kind of, usually in history we go in order of
In
districts.
history, we do go in order, but sometimes we go out of order.
Okay.
So
I'm fine
that's
with
the
going in
only
order.
way, you know,
I think you'll
we
be a
do
great
take-
vice chair.
We do take formal action at the board, and that can go anyway, just like any motion or any action. So.
And that's why I was confused, because I was chairman out of order. Always out of order.
Okay, so let's get back to the nomination. So do we have another nomination, or we're good with Supervisor Campbell? So I have a nomination from John Gray and a second by Anaya Kirk. And those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Those abstain? So that carries unanimously. So I'm going to be passing the gavel on to Supervisor Brennan. She's going to be the new chair for 2020. I do want to ask for public comment. I forgot to do that with each motion. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say?
Well, only because you asked so nicely. So thank you, Supervisor Rodefer. I know it wasn't easy, and you and I had some kind of heated discussions on occasion, but we have worked really hard to have a really good friendship, and so I thank you. And Sherry Brennan, I loved you when you were chair, so I'm very happy with that. So mine would have been a third to the nomination.
Just a comment. I would be remiss if I didn't thank Supervisor Rodefer for his leadership this last year. This was a tough year to be chairman, and he got us through the meetings. He got us through mostly on time. I had to coach him occasionally, but thank you, Carl.
Just a clarification, there is no time limit on the meetings. So whenever they end is on time.
So I am allowing some latitude for my fellow board members to continue a conversation here. But really, as my first act, I want to thank Supervisor Rutherford. We all spend an inordinate amount of time working on behalf of the county, but when you sit in the chair's position, there is an elevated time commitment. There is, you're working on scheduling, you're working on how to make things move as freely as possible, always with the mind that the public, it is so important that we want the public to be participating, but we still are mindful of staff's time and how we move the process along. So I too would like to really thank you for your leadership over the last year, and I look forward to this year. And with that, we will stand in recess until 1:30, and we will come back for, I think we have a 1:30 appointment. Thank you.
Frank, Deputy County Administrator. With me today for this presentation and public comments is Terry Cox, Cox Consulting, and Patrick Talbot from Housing and Community Development. Man, I don't get to do this very much. I'm excited about this. Today we're here regarding an exciting development in regards to a project that the county, along with the state and other partners, have been working on for many years. With that, today we'll tell you more about what we refer to as the National Stabilization Program, or NSP, and how that relates to the CRC project. And I'll have Patrick do that. But before we get there, let me give you a little background about how we got to this point in time. As we just talked about, in 2016, the County of Tuolumne partnered with the State of California, U.S. Forest Service, Cal EPA, Cal Fire, and the Sierra Nevada Conservancy on a grant application that was known as the National Disaster Resiliency Competition. In that application, it consisted of 3 pillars, and the pillar that we're talking about today, and the one that county is responsible for, is the Community Resiliency Centers. Over the preceding years, the county has worked on Phase 1 activities, and on May 6th, staff presented to your board a summary report, basically, that outlined all the activities that had been completed in Phase 1. And at that time, your board was asked to make a decision on, do they want to proceed at all with this project? Do we want to proceed with just one CRC, or do we want to look at 2 CRCs? At the conclusion of that meeting, your board had decided that the assets, the benefits, the opportunities that each of these facilities present, both to the Tuolumne area and to the Groveland area, were really something that was beneficial, and that you wanted to pursue or recommend to the state of California to pursue 2 facilities. The only issue, the only problem we had with that, as during the schematic, during the programming phase and the schematic phase, we had a cost estimate done. And the cost estimate left us with, if we were going to build the facilities as designed, as we presented to the public, there was a deficit. And it was just a preliminary cost estimate at that point in time. It was something that your staff told you that we could work on and see what we can do to bring that down. We hadn't done any value engineering yet, and it was only a preliminary cost estimate at that point in time. When we submitted all the paperwork to the state in regards to this Phase 1 activity and summary report and the cost estimate. HCD was excited that we had gotten to this point, but was really concerned in regards to moving on to Phase 2 with that budget gap that we had. And so they came back to the county and asked us to please look at either A, come back and recommend one CRC project, or go and look at some cost savings and bring the budget in line. And so staff went back and worked with Lionakis, who is our architect on this project, and did what I talked about earlier is value engineering. And we went through and we looked at the facilities. Now, we had a promise and a commitment through the grant to make sure that we kept the intent of these facilities both to be used during emergency purposes and non-emergency purposes, and make sure we had programming in there. We used the most efficient, effective methods and construction activities as far as trying to bring in a building that was as efficient as possible. So those items we couldn't touch. So working with Lionakis, we were able to get the project whittled down to be within the budget, and it allowed us to do 2 facilities. At that point in time, that report was submitted to HCD, Housing and Community Development, and the staff there were really appreciative of all the hard work that we did, acknowledged that we tried to get as close as we could to those commitments in the grant that we could, but they really struggled with it. And they attended the public meetings also along with county staff and saw what a great need these facilities were, especially in light of the PG&E outages that we were starting to have during the summertime and most likely will continue to have, and really started to work their magic behind the scenes and really tried to come up with a creative solution for us, because they saw that we were really committed to the 2 community resiliency centers. And so with that, they had a meeting of county staff, including 2 of your Board of Supervisor members, and they came up with a solution for us to help us with this issue. And so that's why we're here today. And with that, I will turn it over to Patrick Talbot, who will tell you about NSP funding and how that could assist us in this project.
Good afternoon. My name is Patrick Talbot, and I'm with the Department of Housing and Community Development. Been working with the county since 2016 on this particular grant. So it's nice to see some progress move forward. And Maureen did a very good job of giving a summary of where we got to at this point. So what we were able to do was identify some neighborhood stabilization program funds that the state was awarded, and we still have a contract with HUD for. And HUD is very anxious for us to use these funds so that we can close out the grant. And it just so happens that one of the eligible activities under this grant, the NSP1 funding, is community facilities. So I saw a connection there, and in the office we worked with staff to look at doing an amendment to our existing HUD agreement that would allow us to designate the community of Groveland as a target area. So under the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, these funds are used in eligible target areas. So this particular public hearing is part of the request to HUD to use these funds, up to $5 million of Neighborhood Stabilization Program, for this target area in Groveland. And once we get the public meeting done and the public comment period completed, then we will submit this to HUD for their formal approval. So that's what the basis of this meeting is about. I also want to let folks know that HCD on our website, our Neighborhood Stabilization website, and also on their National Disaster Resilience website, we do have public comment there. We have the documents available for review, and they can submit email, or they can call us, or they can also write in formal by mail if they have comments about this particular amendment.
Excuse me. So with that, that's our presentation. We're just here to ask your board to please take comments on this NSP action plan for you today.
Okay. So this is a public hearing to take public comments, so I'm going to open the public hearing at 1:38. and ask if there are any public comments. Please.
I'm Lucy Tyndall with Southside Community Connections. I just want to say we want to thank the board and the group here who's working so hard to make this all come together. We're going to be very happy in Groveland to have whatever we can get. But working with primarily seniors with Southside and people with disabilities, the recent outages, as was mentioned, was real cause for concern for us. The county did a great job of setting up the temporary facilities there, but the initial confusion of where to go, how do I get help? We had seniors who had no heat, and we needed to get them transported places. To know that there's going to be a facility that we can count on to be there for us during that time, it's huge. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I want to reiterate everything that was just said and thank the board and all the work that's been done at this point. I've been in Groveland for 6 years. The services that are needed there, this opportunity opens many different doors. And so this opportunity and the work that's been done to get that additional funding to ensure that all of the services, as opposed to bits and pieces of it, and the recreation and the additional emergency services that come along with that are astronomical, are amazing for this. We've got a lot of Grovelanders, Grovelandites here, that I'm sure are all shaking their heads saying yes. So we want to thank you all very, very much for an amazing amount of work being done and to get this through. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Ronnie Borrego, and here representing myself as a Groveland resident and as well as community relations consultant with the Groveland Community Services District. Just repeating a large thank you. And we're very excited about the project and pleased that both were approved with the state and that this Board of Supervisors really worked hard to make that happen. Looking forward to all future services that we're all going to be able to offer our constituents. Thanks.
Good afternoon. Kathleen Haff, candidate for District 4 Supervisor. And I put out a call to bring as many Groveland residents and that area to this meeting today. And I'd like a little clarification if possible. I'm looking at the draft language for the Neighborhood Stabilization Program on the last page. It talks about HCD aims to provide a resilient evacuation shelter with a reasonable proximity for LMI individuals during future disasters, as well as a public space for social services during non-disaster times. And then it lists some services like job training, employee development, daycare services, senior programs, and other general education services. So my question that I hope the board will ask our panel here is, are these services already decided, or is this a time for Groveland people to say what they need? Because I would hope that they would be able to voice that.
Do you want to answer that a little bit?
Mo can answer that.
Mo.
This has been a long time coming. So.
Yes, it has. So anyway, to answer your question, we started back in 2017 on this project. To me, it was an amazing project because how many times as citizens are we asked, what do we want in a facility? And it wasn't just, here's a facility, now what are you going to do with it? And so the community was asked, both in Tuolumne and in Groveland, what they wanted their center to look like, what services did they want there, what were some of their concerns, what some of their needs were. And so it was nice, and what was developed out of that were two very unique communities with very different goals and ideas of what they wanted. So for the community of Tuolumne, for them, they were more centered, and their goal for their center is economic development and revitalization. And that's what they were looking for in that. And so when we looked at partners to come in and provide services, we partnered with the superintendent of schools, Columbia College, our Health and Human Services Agency,
Area 12.
Area 12, And then also, I know between Dave Tinney at Mother Job Training and then talking to Cole, talking about bringing classes or trainings up to that for that facility. In Groveland, talking to the citizens or residents up there, for them, their really goal was social cohesion and a place for them to gather and be able to be together. And so that's why that facility looks a lot different than the one in Tuolumne. Mm-hmm. And the reason why we wanted to also try to create outdoor space for them as well as indoor space. And so for them, their goals were as I said, social cohesion. So again, partnering with ATCA to bring, for example, 1 day a week, they're going to have bring food services up there. Work with the Southside seniors in regards to augmenting the program that they already offer in regards to Meals on Wheels and maybe doing some congregate meals in the facility. You know, having the commercial kitchen there as Groveland looks towards the future and expanding businesses up there, especially in the hotel resort type of activities. You know, a lot of times what we heard from some of the businesses up there is they're taking their young employees that are trying to get into that business, and they're busing them all the way down to Columbia for classes on hospitality. They would like to be at the center and offer classes there instead and work out of the commercial kitchen. Let me see, who else was there? Again, Southside Seniors is going to be there offering programs. In both places, we're going to move the Sheriff's Community Service Unit into those facilities. So Area 12, right, for not only for food bank kind of services, but also some of their training and stuff. So it really was, at that time, a combination starting from the beginning of asking the community what they wanted for those two facilities. It doesn't mean that's the end of the list, though. So once you have these buildings, whether it's day-to-day or during emergency purposes, I expect the buildings to continue to thrive and be there and be an asset for both of those communities and the surrounding areas. And as things morph and stuff and as needs arise, I hope people will take advantage of that and bring more services in there.
Excellent. Thank you. And I do have another question. It wasn't clear to me. We talk about up to $5 million, $3 million more for the facility itself, I believe? No. Okay, so can you talk about the $5 million, there's a $3 million and a $2 million, and kind of clarify that for myself?
Want to? Okay, sure. So the up to $5 million is what's offered. The difference between the $3 million and the $2 million is basically at the state level, and it's basically the color of the money. So the $3 million is, and Patrick, if I get this wrong, help me out. The $3 million is NSP funds that were either under allocated. So like if a project asked for $2 million, but they only needed $1.5 million, then that $500,000 went back into that pot. Right. The $2 million that go to make up the $5 million is from loans that they made through NSP that people have been paying them back. So in regards to the $5 million, what we were doing, the $5 million from NSP is going to be allocated to the Groveland project, but what we're doing is taking the whole NDRC allocation, and so carving out part of what we would have spent in Groveland and move it over to Tuolumne to make that project whole, and then NSP money plus the NDRC money will make that project whole. And there is a slight difference between the cost of the two facilities, as you can imagine, but it's I'm trying to remember offhand, but there is a difference. I won't say how much because I can't remember the exact amount between the two facilities, just based on what is needed in regards to you have two different topographies for the property, and you have some different attributes to each of the centers that are not equal cost.
Groveland is more expensive, in other words.
I wasn't going to say that, Supervisor Gray, but it is.
But to just summarize here, the Groveland project, as originally imagined, will be fully funded with this funding. Is this correct?
That was the whole purpose of the
exercise.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure we were all talking about the same thing. Thank you very much.
Sally Salinas from Groveland. First of all, I want to thank the Board of Supervisors for the support that you've given us to thus far to have this project finally in our community. I also want to say thank you to Maureen Frank for all the work and all the years and all of the ability that she has brought to this project. Excellent. And you know, we need all of you. My husband and I, Miguel Maldonado, came to Groveland in 1998. We started our first senior project movement in 2000, gathering the community to put together the ideas of a program gathering place. Many of the ideas that were brought forth in our community gathering, we had 98 people come and put together a strategic plan. And Maureen came in later to help us get the little house. So we've been around. At one point, we came to the Board of Supervisors with 500 signatures from Groveland saying that we needed and wanted a program gathering place in our community. So by the time this project is completed, 2022, we will have been at it for 22 years if my husband and I are still alive, and we intend to be here for the opening. So please, thank you, and make it happen.
Thank you. Okay, I see no other public comment, so I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to ask the board members for any comment.
Yes, I have a couple. The template that we began with when we went after the grant application, as most of you know from Groveland, was the gathering place template, the plan. It was the starting point, and without that, I don't think we would have been able to move as quickly as you did, because we actually came to the table with an idea that you all had worked on for some time, so that was helpful. But again, without Mo driving this thing all the time and listening to me gripe from time to time, it wouldn't happen. But I'd like to see it happen 2 years ago, but it just wasn't happening. And I really want to thank my fellow board members, because if we hadn't really looked at it from the standpoint of both communities, I don't think we would have been able to get one. And at that time, it was Supervisor Royce, and now it's Anaya, and we've all been on the same page of trying to do the best for Tuolumne County and the best for our communities. And sometimes you can't do it by yourself. You have to have all these people up here to help you through. So I want to thank them. Thank you.
Any other comments, Supervisor?
Okay. I want to kind of tag on to what Supervisor Gray said. The power of the Board of Supervisors is our influence, and our influence is most powerful when we act as one. And we really have, over the course of several years on this particular project, acted as one. The state did their very best to try and get us to pick our favorite child. And quite frankly, we refused to do that. I personally was part of 2 trips to Sacramento with the staff, one with Anaya and one with John. And we expressed the unity of the board. It wasn't, we just happened to be the people in the room, but it was the power of the unity of the board that did it. And so I think that Tuolumne County is fortunate to have a board that by and large does speak as one, or we absolutely try to as often as we can. And on the occasion that 1 or 2 of us are on the wrong side of the vote, we get on board with the board majority, and we move ahead. And this is a really good example. In this case, it was 5-0 all the way, and so I think that's really, really important. That helped get the decision out of them. And I think the money. They helped us find the money. So they realized that we were serious and we weren't going to back down. And so they did help us. But the real work, as always, the work is done by the staff. And Mo's led that effort. She's not the only person that's been involved, but she did lead that effort. And so thank you very much, Mo. But I just wanted the community to know how important our resolve was going through this whole process. So thank you very much.
Supervisor Kirk.
Yeah, and I'll just say I kind of came in at the tail end of this being newly elected, but I remember that meeting earlier in the spring when the Groveland folks showed up and there's some hooting and hollering, and it was good because everybody was passionate about getting the two facilities, and so with the unified message, that's how it's been the whole way through. So I'm glad we're here. Mo, my one question is, does this change the schedule? Does this, I know we're up against a tight schedule, like the ma'am who's been working on this for 20 years, and maybe 22 by the time it's done. Are we on track to actually make it happen?
Staff will endeavor as best we can to bring this in on time. It is a challenge. There are several layers of review, several layers of trying to make this go. It's complicated. It's not really super easy.
I guess,
but
does this send us back at all? With more
with
funds?
the additional funds? Yeah. Oh, no. Okay. It helps us move forward.
Okay.
But what's nice is I think going forward, I think Patrick would agree that there's a renewed sense of partnership between Housing and Community Development and the county to really, both of us understand, both agencies understand that we are under this tight timeline. And there are a lot of layers and a lot of things that need to happen. And so in order to get contracts to the board or through the review process before they even get to the board, it's just hard and difficult. But we're committed to make that happen and make the two facilities a reality. So we're on target, as best I can say today, for June 2022 to be done with construction of both of these facilities. It's going to be tight.
Supervisor Campbell.
Yeah, Mo, like others have said, amazing job. I mean, you're like one of those boats that plows through the ice, you know?
There you go.
Just keep cracking it. My question is, what's the next step in this process? Is there a timeline for when we'd be looking at RFPs or okay, so we're actually...
Oh, yes. So
that's on the horizon, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Great.
Supervisor Campbell. So at your next board meeting, I'm hoping, right, we're going to try to do it. There are two contracts that will be before you. One is for the second phase of work for Lionakis, who's the architect for this. And so they will start on design development ASAP. And the other one is for Cox Consulting, who will assist in regards to help me not pull my hair out and help me through just the administrative paperwork that's required for this. Shortly after that, you'll receive, we'll be laying out a request for proposal for an NSP consultant. That was one of the requirements the state had to bring someone in to help and assist Terry and I with those monitoring and reporting requirements that we have for that. July 18th is the date that Patrick and I have targeted for us to bring back to the board for your consideration and recommendation is the new contract for Phase 2 with NDRC. So over the next month, there will be several items coming before you for your consideration regarding this item.
Great. And Patrick, thank you very much for, your persistent work on this as well. I mean, we've been a wonderful partner in all this. The last question I have is, what's so July 18th, that's going to be our role in the next step. What's the next role for the public in this? I mean, I know there's not a lot of wiggle room in terms of design or what can be added to it, but What are we looking for from the public at this point?
So from the public, we're looking at just their continued support towards this effort and towards this project. We will be bringing back to them, probably having a public meeting once we get the design of the final design of the facility, and we'll be bringing it out and talking to them one last time in regards to it before it comes before the Board of Supervisors, before we go out to bid for the project.
Great.
One more time.
Supervisor Graham.
Supervisor Campbell jumped ahead of me there. I couldn't sneak in. But Patrick, I was remiss and I didn't thank you and I didn't thank the state of California for that extra effort work to find that money, because we would not be here today if you guys hadn't done it. So please bring that back.
So I'm going to wrap this up and put an exclamation point on that. Please do wrap this up. We've been having a lot of these conversations, a lot of discussions, a lot of effort. And I want to thank all three of you sitting at that table, but you helped us find a solution. I think it was really evident how committed we were to the two centers. And I think actually our community illustrated that when they were here at those meetings. And it became really evident that it was in totality. Between community, board, staff. So again, a very united effort, but please take our thank you back for helping us find the solution. And I'm going to look forward to all of the items coming forward in the next couple of months. And again, and also thank you, Terry. I know you've really had a hand in this too. So with that, this was just, I believe there is no action associated with this. We needed to have the public hearing. And I would ask that the clerk please read our 3 closed session items. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm going to back up and had a reminder. Will you please read item 17 first?
So this is a presentation of the chair's appointment to the Board of Supervisors, committees, and commissions for 2020.
And I believe this is an information item for the public. In anticipation of today, we did send out some emails, and I did have a couple of requests, which we were able to accommodate. And so the board appointments for committees and commissions is going to be recorded. And we also needed to,
actually, we're
Gretchen Olson
as a Rural Counties Environmental Services and JPA alternate.
Thank you.
We need just
so that is
just to announce
duly
that.
Noted also. It's Gretchen Olson is the RCRC ESGPA alternate.
Okay.
All right, which is normal. We have someone from staff that serves as the alternate on that committee. Okay. With that, will you please read our 3 closed session items?
This is their closed sessions conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Authority Government Code Section 549569D1. The first one is Hope Maggie et al. Versus Tuolumne County et al. The United States District Court, Central District of California, case number 219 CV 07884, CJCSK. And then also National Prescription Opiate Litigation, United States District Court of the Northern District of Ohio, Eastern Division, case number 117MD 2804 DAP. And then we have the Conference with Real Property Negotiators, 30 Government Code Section 54956.8. Property is APN 032 32 000 8000. And its agency negotiators are Tracy Riggs and Eric Earhart, and it's under negotiation with price and terms of payment.
Is there any public comment on any of the closed session items? Okay, seeing none, do we anticipate a report out?
No.
Right. We're going to adjourn into closed session. Thank you.